Hey, everybody! We were off for a week. Did you miss us? Oh no, Charza, I can't hear you. Oh wait, hold on. This one might be me this time. Yes, this one might actually be me this time.
You can hear me.
Yes.
You can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
No, I can hear you.
I know there was doubling audio.
No, this was me. It was Discord again. It was my fault. I made the big oopsie.
Well, just to be safe, I am literally going to make sure it fucks it up. So I should have already done that, but oh well. Anywho, hello everybody. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. Woo woo woo. It's time for Cartoon Planet, or in this case, the fried chicanery. Hello.
Hello, Mama. Hello, Papa. I'm so happy to see you today. We all went off.
Yes.
We went off for a week because Charza was blown the fuck out, having to move his things, and also,
yeah,
there was just too much shit that I needed to deal with last week that unfortunately did not pan out. I tried to go get another job, that did not work out.
You got the video out, and that was really good, by the way, for the record.
Yeah.
Go watch that, people. Go watch that. It's a good video. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that video took me longer than I thought it was supposed to. Because, well, actually, the short answer is Vito tried to delete his tweets, and also the account of the person that he ran to try and platform him so he could lie on a bigger platform ended up having their account sussed because Twitter's cancer. Yeah, Twitter's ass cancer. So I needed to go back and find something. And fortunately, a random viewer in the audience who will remain anonymous slid it to me that Vito was talking shit! So I had to spend extra time. I had to spend extra time to go find every single thread in question that was relevant, stick it in the description of the video, and then fucking churn the thing out with all the relevant beats that were necessary to cover. And I needed to make sure it was less than 15 minutes, because this was an explicit point that came up in conversation with a person in another Discord. Which, oh boy, we'll get to that thing when it fucking happens.
Okay.
One of our good old friends decided to pop her fucking head up.
Oh, right.
We'll get there.
Yes.
Trust me, we'll get there.
Good. Awesome.
We got a lot of fucking things to get through on this docket tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So this is gonna be a long one. Long one, Carl said. It's gonna be a long one.
Oh my.
But there's a lots of shit that had to
will
go
it be
into.
Hard as well?
No, it will not. It will be flaccid.
Okay. Cool.
Unseasoned, unmarinated, even.
So stuck in your sock. Okay. It's not long.
Just that little bit of dick fluff that gets on your socks. When you're a young man.
No, I was saying is that it's so long you have to put it in your sock because it goes down your pant leg. That's what I was referring to.
Well, I was talking about the fact that some people are cretins, and instead of using the hand or jacking in the shower, they apparently this is something that kids do. They get a sock and they nut into the sock. Fucking flabbergasting. I have never considered that. It never occurred to me. It's fucking weird as shit.
Kids are dumb. What can you say? They think communism's a viable option. They're dumb.
I mean, shit, it sounds like a smart idea. I'm pretty sure somebody thought it up in the 90s, but it never became relevant until probably became an internet joke. But this shit, it just floored me. I'd never considered the idea of wasting money on socks just to nut in them. That's beyond my head.
I think the idea is that it's meant to be washed, but...
Bro, the internet people washing their clothes, they can barely clean their rooms. Come on, man.
Okay, that's fair.
We've got nut jars. Hey. We've got ponies in a nut jar. We have ponies in a nut jar being roasted on top of a radiator. We've got people nutting in wash rags, not washing them, and it growing a fungi colony, which literally means you impregnated a fucking fungus and grew it
among us
as a culture. There's a new definition of internet culture, kids. Go show your teachers right after you learn what seagulling is.
The only culture that guy has in his tennis shoes. Culture. I cracked myself up.
But anyways, yeah, doing the fucking thing to pop out what I thought would be under 15 minutes and would take me only like 3 days. It ended up
3 days.
It's ended up taking me a bit longer because when the shit was happening, I archived everything, of course. But the problem is going back and then getting the record, because I'm not sure how many people archive things, which all of you should. If you have not seen my videos about how to archive, what
I think Jeremy definitely helped. Quartering got popularized that this week, by the way. Just want to make sure I noted that.
That's good. That's mostly because he's been dealing with the whole thing. There's a link about that news story in here too. I think there is in my folder.
I'll stop talking. I'll let you get into the intro of sorts.
But yeah. Just to wrap up on the fucking video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's hilarious. Mainly because the point of that I wanted to get across and demonstrate, because this is the thing, especially when it comes to internet grifters. In any case, internet grifters or people who do dumb shit and it never gets talked about, either because they're irrelevant and it's not usually something you talk about, or it's not something you'd focus on, is that they do shit and then they delete things. So you have to archive the thing. But when you upload an archive to something like archive.is, it goes into a megabase upload, and that link is always active, but the problem is finding the tweet in question, because they're appended by date when you archive them, and then appended by when that link was supposed to be originally archived from its first entry into the backlog. If you make multiple links of it, it goes into the backlog, and then appends to the last post on top of it. A good case example was Joey Clare admitting that he was indeed predilecting on kids, and all of the shit being removed from his account, him being kicked out of fucking Evo as anything. Basically, it cut him out and canceled his ass quicker than they fucking canceled Evo Japan Online 2020.
Hey Carl, was that the guy that was talking about Zaki-chan and I made the meme of?
No,
is that what you're talking about?
But it's related to that, because because after that situation actually happened, Nairo had to come forward and say that, some shit happened. And turns out, not necessarily Nairo was involved and was predilecting himself on kids. He actually got groomed by somebody younger than him. That's what happened in that situation.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
That's
apparently
funny.
there was a young youth that he was circling around with in these smash circles. And it just so happened to be that they were staying at the hotel one night, and the dude got on top of him and raped Nairo. That's actually what happened.
That is not. Oh my god.
And instead of going to the police, Nairo allowed this to happen. And then, when he came forward to this person and said, listen, I'm going to tell the truth, this guy tried to blackmail Nairo what happened. So, literally, what should have happened is Nairo should have gone to the police. Damn your fucking pride and whatever people say about male victims. Fuck them.
Pride.
Go to the police, report it, and get justice for yourself. It should not have taken for you to reach a settlement with the person who assaulted you to have your truth told, the same way it shouldn't have taken this fucking long for all these people, especially for Puppy, and most especially in the case of Mr. fucking Core Values Joey Clare, Mr. Wiz himself, to see justice for your stupidity and your bullshit. Which is half the goddamn problem.
I'm not gonna lie, Carl. It's amazing. If the NSFW mod for Pyra and Mithra is anything to go off of, this is. I used to think it was a pattern or a joke. I honestly don't think it's a pattern or joke anymore. I think there's a meme of like they just didn't want developed breasts, and all I can think of is I think that's more accurate than we would like to give credit for. But
they want underdeveloped breasts, and women like Puppy want underdeveloped dick. It's a cycle. One joke, but 107 cases. And counting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, like I said, long fucking archive of things to have to get into. So there's going to be a lot of things on screen. We're now going to start incorporating a visual element to the show, mainly because some of you need to see the shit in question, so you know that I'm not just making shit up. I know I put the links in the chat for people to read as well, but like you have to see the shit. You have to start seeing this shit in order to believe it.
To believe it, to be honest, it's one of those kind of crazy shit, you know. I mean, reality has inverted upon itself. I think we can all say that, you know. But
cats and dogs living together, the whole 9 yards.
Lead the way, Carl.
Anyways, let me get this thing up. It takes a second. I gotta get things synced to the
there's
right
a bit of,
fucking
bit of,
screen.
bit of lag.
I have to get the things synced to the right screen. Every time I have to click over to a screen, it causes lag, so that's not fun.
Oh, I see it there. Yeah.
I have to resize.
I see this image, and all I can think of is Last of Us. That's all I have to say. Really. That's all I need to say.
God damn it. Drag. Thank you.
I show of hands, chat. I guess. Quick question: is anyone really taking Sony serious anymore? Like, is anyone really thinking that they're going to actually? Never mind.
No, go ahead. I have to fucking resize
We all
this thing.
know. Well, I'm just saying is that I mentioned I was going to mention this tonight in a separate thing, but I'll go into a little just brief. I've known for literally a decade now how I've stared into the abyss of Sony. I was at the beginning of the PS3 hacking scene. I literally found today. I was getting some solder because I was going to solder some shit today, and we found actually my old heat gun that I reflowed a backwards compatible PS3 with back literally 10 years ago, like at this very moment, or more or less. Like 10 years ago, the PS3 hacking thing happened. Sony doesn't give a rat's ass what you think or care about you. They are out to make money. They treat you like criminals, and that's the brief synopsis. The whole thing with Denuvo is just another layer to it. Anyway,
have to move it a bit around because the shit has to be on screen. But
yeah, I know this.
So it's gonna be in the way a couple of times. But
you probably scale it, you know.
I try to, but it doesn't like to scale on these windows.
But
it's really dumb. Try to get the shit to fucking work, but it don't want to work.
Just do it.
Anyway.
I'll shut up.
To the people who say censorship doesn't happen in the gaming industry, maybe it's time you do your research. Sony reportedly censoring violent depictions in video games. Sony isn't allowing video games to depict dismemberment of human characters. This is from Vara Dark, from, I think it's Dark Echelon.
Love her. Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Dark Echelon. On her video with Sony forcing devs to censor violence in video games, namely this being about dismemberment. I believe this came on the heel of them. I want to say it was China, but I'm pretty sure it was China and maybe North Korea or something. Someone saying that they cannot do it because of the dismemberment specifically. But yeah, Sony's censoring your mature games.
North Korea, that's a new one.
Yeah, it's Sony censoring things further, but now they're censoring the dismemberment too. So it's not just you can't have you big booby gamer. Lo and behold, women be fucking in scantily clad pieces of outfits. And no, DLC costumes don't count, because if it's not the official artwork that's in the base game, that literally is you paying to be fucking censored. So let's get that right. That's number one. Number two, this is on top of the fact that Sony, after moving their new Sony of America offices to California, have been making things harder and harder for the Western scene in order to make money, period, when it came to the console sales. Which, surprise, surprise, guess what this led to? A complete conglomerate blowout of Nintendo dominating the sales charts.
Oh yeah, that's been hilarious to
So the next time...
watch. I mean, think about it like this, Carl. You have a company who's known for censorship, and they're the ones that are the uncensored. You can get your big boobies in your games. It's amazing. It's fucking hilarious.
I find it hilarious that people still are even fucking complaining about the consoles still. Like, why are you still playing consoles? You should be on PC right now.
Yeah, why are you still here? Yeah, Matt. PC mustard race for the win. You can mod things, and you don't have to go around hacking the DRM to get in there. You can add Mithra boobies on your own.
Next up, in the same vein of things, unfortunately for ladies and gentlemen, BioWare is going to be ending development on Anthem after a year of their overhauling, and instead will be focusing all of their resources
absolutely no one
into Dragon Age and into Mass Effect Legendary Edition to give you everything you absolutely need, including your blonde main shepherd, even though it's a redhead. But that's beside the point. Boy, I don't know how many ways I can say I told y'all so, but goddamn, I fucking told y'all so. Like, everybody called this when this happened the week before, because this is technically last week's news, but we have to fucking laugh at it, because, come on. Like, come on.
Everybody point and laugh at BioWare. Point and laugh at Anthem.
Like, bruh. Like, bruh, what the fuck did y'all think was gonna happen when you hired Nia Sarkeesian? What the fuck did you think you were gonna happen when you said, come on, guys, we're gonna make an entire world where you can make your own narrative? No. That means you didn't write a story, and you want the players to make up one in this empty fucking universe that's bare bone skeleton. Come on.
Nobody. Carl, I considering this and Battlefield 1 are both dead, I think we can officially say that Ania Sarkeesian is basically the gaming industry's equivalent of Timmy's mom. Everything I touch dies.
It's funny considering the fact that remember when Anita was complaining, saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe that all these chuds keep attacking me. I'm just a private citizen. I'm not anybody relative." And that was right around the time before the release, or technically leading up to the holdover to the release of The Last of Us Part 2. And then all the articles, by name, Neil Druckmann referring to Ania Sarkeesian and her work for Trope versus Video Games, which, ironically, happened to be the thing that would then lead to people being upset about Troy Levitt, because he dropped his video that he was talking about, that he said he was going to drop, about the reasons why he left Avalanche. That's a bit of a side story piece. We talked about that on one of our last broadcasts. I think that was number 2 or number 3.
I wish him the best, because honestly, I'm not going to lie, Troy, if you're listening, I really fucking love Disney Infinity. So, just wanted to say that. I'm angry I can't really play it anymore, because saving is basically locked to servers which don't exist. But water under the bridge, man. I enjoyed it while it lasted.
You know, it's one of those things that I could consider if it was still a functional, like, thing. Because it's one thing if it was a game that had peripherals, and, like, you had to pay the money to actually find the interactive peripheral, kind of like if you have an amiibo, and you wanted to use an amiibo on something like Breath of the Wild. I can understand a person wanting to spend money on that, but the idea of, oh, this thing requires an extra peripheral, and I have to buy things that equivocate to an expansion pack, and the servers no longer function. What was that fucking game? There was a fucking game, I want to say. Was it the older versions of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or one of these, like, new updated re-release versions?
Yeah,
where,
Tony Hawk Ride, Tony Hawk Shred.
Yeah, where the game was actually not the game on the disc. You had to actually get the patch that was then related to the servers, because the disc was a glorified boot disc.
Pro 7.5, Pro Skater 5 is what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And for the record, I freaking still love Disney Infinity. I'm sorry, Lego Dimensions. I still go back to that. But my Amiibo are all gone. I sold the one I moved, for the record, if anyone's curious. Anyway, BioWare is a dying company. Everyone's gone. I think if you guys want to see a real good breakdown of how many people have left BioWare, not just the big names, but everyone else, Upper Echelon Gaming did a terrific video breaking down how many people they have hemorrhaged over the last, like, half decade.
I think the most recent person they lost was one of their co-founders, like one of the two.
I thought they already left, but yeah, I think one of them came back and they left again. So
yeah, so it's gonna be a skeleton company. If it's not already, it's gonna continue being a skeleton company that's gonna try and shit out.
It's a lot like Rare. Only Rare actually has some competence to them. Let's just say that.
I mean, it'd be worse if they were relegated to literally being a company that will only
Rare, like the separate.
It'll be really bad if they're only relegated to being a company that's gonna shit out remakes. Cause boy, that would really be fucking sad. The fact that you can't make new games,
like Skunk Ape.
So you just end up repeating the same old shit over and over again to try and get people to buy the new updated re-release version for $110.
Oh, holy shit, Carl! I was going. God damn it! You need to realize
what
you're mentioning, like, a company that only makes re-releases, okay? And the first thing that came to mind was Skunk Ape Productions, which are the ones that have been re-releasing Sam Max remakes. They're the ones that are handling the quote remasters of all Telltale games.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized. Then I remembered that the first company to do the kind of shit they're doing with removing scenes and bad things was them. And then BioWare followed with removing the butt. And I'm just like, it's more relevant than I realized. Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Telltale. I miss when you didn't make a bunch of Walking Dead knockoffs and instead made good games like Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. Star Runner for life.
It's really funny when they mention that they're doing it to try to make it a more mature game, and it's like, dude, you bang aliens in this fucking game. What do you mean make it more mature? Technically, the fact that they include the sexual element would make it immature, because by the Neo-Puritan argument, you can't have big boob, which means by the same equivocation,
Puritans,
you can't have dick.
They're progressives.
Well,
they just changed the name.
Well, that's what Neo-Puritan means now, because apparently they think neo-reactionary is a word. I'm just going by their logic. I don't make this shit up. I just reinforce it.
I just find it funny. They're calling us reactionary, and yet they're literally reacting to changing tastes by changing something in the game. But no, we're the reactionaries, though. Oh yeah, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Agreed.
Yo, don't even get me fucking started about Blizzard.
Fucking hell! Don't get Carl started on that. Chat mentioned Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of acknowledge.
I just want to bring it up in case anybody forgot, because I'm actually making a video on my experience. I'm taking the shit that I posted when I was talking about and covering in live for people what it was like, the D2 experience of not being able to connect to the servers. I'm just gonna take that and put it into a video set to Carmen, and I'm gonna show you what it felt like, because my fucking ISP sent me a cease and desist, because instead of actually flagging the actual torrenting that I did to try and get the game up and running after I was able to finally find my goddamn playdisk with my original code, I had to pay at least $20 to buy a clean, fresh boot from the Battle.net store just so I can be able to do my streams of Project Diablo 2, because it is in their bylaws and rules for that mod that I highly suggest everybody play, along with Median XL, that you need to have a legal copy. So, I cannot, in good advocated taste, if you wish to play on Project Diablo 2, because right now, even though Season 2 just started, their servers are overloaded, because it's like a player base of about 10,000 plus people trying to play on servers that have been made for 5K. So, the servers are clearly chugging along and having the difficulty that comes with that. But the fact that they sent me a letter not for the actual torrent that would have been the thing that would have gotten spotted, but instead for the link I had to download from a third-party website of the official patch of the game, because the official store version would not boot and update properly on its own patch, so I had to go get it from somewhere else. They flagged that. As the thing that should have been called for. So, before the stream, which is what caused our delay, I happened to get a VPN, courtesy of Nick, thanks Nick, so that I can be able to do my regular work, so it does not involve my process. Because trying to make things like reviews while trying to acquire the scenes necessary to make the reviews is really hard unless you're able to find a streaming site to do it on. And I'm not giving Netflix my money. And I'm certainly not giving Amazon Prime my money. I'm not giving Hulu my fucking money. You don't deserve it. So that's a whole trial and tribulation outside of it. So you can expect that, like, to be dropping anytime during this week. That's going to be up there.
Cool.
But, to focus on the reason why I'm bringing it up, it's kind of sad. Because, like, the problem with the remakes and remasters is not that you make them, right? Like, Spyro's had its remaster done now. Crash has had its remaster done now. I'm just waiting for them to fucking remaster Ape Escape, and that's a fucking wrap. That's it. You don't need to remake anything else. You don't have to remake anything else. That'll be the fattest fucking nut that anyone could bust. Spyro, Crash, maybe like a couple of more PlayStation era re-releases. Maybe a new remake of Chrono Trigger. Maybe. I wish I was joking, but I'm just giving you free ideas, Square Enix. You want to print some money? It's like you press the fucking button.
I'm gonna be sending you a meme once I find it that you can put up later. But anyway, continue.
But like, you just have to remake good games and like get people who've never experienced them to see them, and then concurrently release that along with your new shit, right? Because like this, I guess this was their idea for making Crash 4 It's About Time. Regardless of whether or not they just basically depreciated all of, like, the Crash era PS2 games, not including Wrath of Cortex, but, you know, like, the Twin Sanity ones and the Mind Over Matter ones.
I've heard 4 is amazing, from what I've heard.
That include, like, Nina Cortex and all those. Basically, they're going back to the numbered sequels, so they can just justify as all of those being, like, off-brand, other dimension, situational knockoff things, so they can continuate whatever storyline they're choosing to do for Crash. And that's fine, but at the same time you're doing that, you just need to go back and make proper remakes for things, and then re-release them, and then continue proliferating them while making new shit, but let the old franchises die if they're not going to get new stuff. Like, don't bait people, right? Like, here's an example. Remaster Ratchet and Clank's entire saga. Maybe even the future titles. I don't know. I haven't played them, but I know people speak well of them. They're not horrible, but it's like not the flavor most people would be acquainted to, nostalgia-wise. Like, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Dark Cloud, or the original first Dark Cloud 1, and then Dark Chronicle, which is Dark Cloud 2. Drakengard.
I've heard good things of those games. Yeah.
Oh yes. Have you ever heard of Level 5 Studios? They're the people who make Ni no Kuni. Beautiful JRPGs. Just wonderful.
Yes, them.
But anything made by Level 5, the Cyber 2 Connect games, so anything that is underneath the franchise of Dot Hack Sign. I'm not sure how many people remember playing Dot Hack Sign. That's a whole entire JRPG in and of itself, because that's like the first experience that anybody would have had towards like a single player game that makes you think that it plays like a multiplayer RPG, like an actual MMO that's connected to the internet. There was a version that they actually did release by the name of Fragments, but that does not work unless you're able to connect to the online servers that are emulating the game. So games like that, Jak and Daxter, which Jak and Daxter 1, Jak 2, Jak 3, maybe The Lost Frontier as well, because that's kind of an okay game. It's kind of a game.
Mariner, that's a great observation. Who is the bigger Ape Escape stan, Carl or good old S. Monroe? That's a very good question.
I mean, I'm
a good fan of Ape Escape, but
bro,
nowhere near
Ape
you.
Escape's the shit, bro. It is the shit. It is just grand. You can never go wrong with Ape Escape, my dude. But like, you just remake all those games. You already have.
Damn it!
You already have.
I can't find the meme.
It's okay, buddy. Like,
it was the old gee, why did they let you have two wieners? And it was Chrono next to Cloud saying, gee, Cloud, how come Square Enix lets you have two remakes?
That's fucking stupid. But like, they needed to make a remake for Chrono Cross as well as Chrono Trigger, because like, how many times has Chrono Trigger been re-released? You have the original,
and it's always the PlayStation version with the shit loading.
Yeah, they've remade several versions of it. To my knowledge, I'm thinking of 4 of them. You have the original Super Nintendo / Famicom, then you have the PSX remake, and then you have the remake that I think they did as like a digital download for the DS shops, and then of course you also have the DS version. And
the DS version is the only one that's been released modernly that doesn't have the built-in loading that's in the PlayStation 1 remake or PlayStation 1 version.
Yes, that is the superior it's the superior version of the game. It also has a couple of other things in it too, like a monster arena that's based on growing. It's basically like Digimon or Pokemon, but you have to raise them as you go through the game. And it has all the things that you would expect Chrono Trigger to have, as well as all of those cutscenes and endings. So you can still play it to your heart's content. They did the same thing with Disgaea 1, which, boy, oh shit, if you want to really make some money, remake all of the Disgaeas again. Just do it again. I know that you already have it on Steam, because Disgaea PC is a thing, but just remake all of those games again, and port them to Switch. Easy, I'm just telling you.
I just
easy 10 mil.
I I just want a re-release of some kind of the NDS version of Final Fantasy IV. They did the Final Fantasy III remake on the PSP at least, but 4 is eternally stuck
I remember
with the voice acting on a compressed cartridge. Anyway,
you're talking about the one for the Kane Paladin storyline, right? Whether his character eventually gets married off
the
to that
DS
one
version, the DS 3D.
Yeah,
each changes class.
yeah.
What's a paladin?
Yeah, that game probably would be the next in line from Final Fantasy if they were to not.
I mean, they
go
made
forward.
a remake.
Well, yeah, well, yes, but like I'm talking like a giant like Kingdom Hearts version remake of all the games, like that, like 1 through 15, specifically released all consoles and PC. I don't think they could ever do it.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think it would ever happen. Not unless they were just to do ports and they updated the graphics or something. You know, in the style of what they did for Final Fantasy IV. If they did that, it would be great. Like,
that would be interesting.
There's nothing saying that you cannot do that, because actually, what they did with, not Monster Hunter, but Dragon Quest for Elusive Age, that top-down menu screen, that is essentially what you could do. Because, like, all you'd have to do is just make updated sprite graphics. You'd have to work out...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You'd have to work out the skeleton rigging and shit, but realistically, you wouldn't have to do anything outside of, like, animating the in-town sections, the necessary cutscene sections. Any person can do this, because they already have done this, actually, for the Game Boy Advanced. They did this for Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2 on a double packet. If anybody remembers the Dawn of Souls release that they made for
it, which it was originally the Wonder Swan, but still,
like
I'm gonna nitpick. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It can be done. They can do these things, but they'd rather not, for whatever reason, because I don't know. They don't like money. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I wish they just liked money, but they don't like money.
No, they like money, but they also spent all their money on that Avengers game that sucked.
They probably shouldn't have done that. Didn't it just become possible for people to finally replay the campaign? Didn't they just allow that literally this week? Like on Monday? What the fuck? Like, I know I saw that article. They were announcing that they finally made it possible for you to be able to replay the campaign. How? What? Why? Why?
Like, they also hiked up the grind needed, by the way.
Oh, that's bad. How do you try to make a Diablo?
They did that.
How do you try to make a Diablo clone and you fail at the most primary basic thing that the Diablo clone needs to do, which is replay multiple sections of the game? How do you do that? Anyways, moving on. Next story.
Square was absorbed was okay.
It's okay, bro.
Okay, continue. Go on.
Next story. Assigned mail.
Sorry.
They got roasted because it came out that the person in question, I don't remember their name outside of Sophie, but the person who makes the Assigned Mail comics, I believe it is a male to female creator.
Yes, this whole thing.
It was revealed that they had been making art based on real life people's children so that they could draw them as reference for their diaper fetish porn. Yes, the person in question is a furry. And it was something that made them lash out at individuals like myself, but most especially people like Tina. If you don't know about actually Tina, go follow her on Twitter before they sus her account.
She's awesome.
She's great. But our friend from the morgue had to fucking bring a body bag for Assigned Mail because they were lashing out at people. And what do you think about that?
About what?
About this shit. About the idea that a person who commonly throws out at people, hey, don't you know that you liking anime is bad? How do you feel about that person being out here like this?
Well, gee, I bring up the comic I made about Uzaki-chan with that person referring to earlier who got raped by a minor. Okay, did you see that comic I made? I made it in Source Filmmaker.
Yes.
It was like,
yes,
I literally had to download the avatar he used for Twitter and staple it onto a body for a flat head model. It was. Let me put it this way: in regards to that, in regards to this, those who scream about anime, I refuse to believe it's a coincidence. I think it's becoming more and more of a pattern as we go on, and it's all a subset of my belief that those who shout the loudest often do so to drown out the skeletons in their own closet. And I think anime is the honeypot of outrage that draws in these people who end up being absolute pedophiles. So, sorry about the yawn. I didn't want to get anyone. Yeah.
Also, just to clarify.
Also,
go ahead.
Also, I'd be remiss to not mention that in today's episode of Has Been Hotel, a character refers to "Quiet, you furry" to Luna. I thought that was a bit relevant here. Just thought I'd note that.
It is. Wow, shit! You reminded me, but I don't think I have it in here. But we can talk about it once we get through the entire fucking pile. You reminded me about Carol the Wolf. Ah, God, that
I love her.
You love Carol the Wolf?
That. Wait, I thought you meant Lero the Wolf, the anime hentai person. Okay, no.
Careful, buddy.
I know.
But we have to clarify, because he technically said the thing, and I have to make it very clear. We are not joking about Nairo being victimized by the hands of a person who has violated him. That is not what we are suggesting. At no point in time. I disavow any person who claims that is what we are saying by referencing the situation. What I am referencing is that there is a very serious sexual pedestry problem and a very serious sexual deviancy problem inside of the Smash scene. And instead of ever addressing the fact that this is a concurrent issue, people would rather pretend that it's supposed to be a weird joke or a constant and ever-pressing beating of a drum of one joke. When it's not a joke, it's constantly coming up to the point that several individuals that are commonly screaming at the top of their lungs are almost always behind the scenes, either involved as friends, directly involved as the suspects, or involved in the fact that they knew about it and they said nothing because they hoped it would have passed over, involved in these serious allegations, and, where it is confirmed, serious convictions and cancellations of people's careers, saying that they are just being outrageously slandered and attacked for the crime of just liking a little bit different of anime, right? This is not a person like Jekko being called out, unfairly, mind you, by people like Lacking Saint, because he chooses to put in his profile that he is a Lala connoisseur. I don't care about those kinds of people, because that's not reality you're dealing with. It is weird. I'm just out there for the people who do this often, because you know exactly who the fuck who I'm talking about. It is weird for you to pull out a GIF where you put up a picture, that dumbass picture they have, of, the animated baby, and then, the picturesque picture of the same baby, saying, well, it's not the same because it's not a real child. That is weird. Normal people do not have things like that on standby. And referencing back to Vito, because this is Vito's fucking take. It is weird for you to just have a picture of young women in various stages of dress and undress, or if they're dancers, in various amounts of leotards, stretching and pulling and telling people, does this upset you? As a French person, please shut the fuck up, because not only do you not understand anything about ballet, which, that's an entire thing besides it, because if you want to get into dance, that's an entire thing that people like to be pedophilic about. It's not the same as, say, kid pageant shows, right? Ban those things. 100%.
Yes.
I'll burn it down with you. I have no problem with that. Save little girls like Honey Boo Boo until they're at the age where they become Jojoji Siwa and they can be freely lesbian and be as lesbianic as they'd like to, or super straight in the other direction, if you will. But to equivocate this shit to, well, I'm just drawing it as a reference for my porn, it is the thing that you will keep falling on. Please don't do that, because that is literally a crime. That is a felony. You will go to jail because you're creating child porn. Don't do that. Please don't do that. And if you do that, please go to jail immediately. Just turn yourself in, and I'll be maybe a little bit lenient on you in record and in post, but probably not really, because you shouldn't be doing this shit anyways. Anyways, moving on from that.
Next.
I'm really getting these out a lot, but to just focus on this, because same shit, but have to show it so that it's clear. Attached to this problem, so Lavelle, that's their last name. Sophie Lavelle was blocking people and pre-blocking individuals that she never interacted with, like myself, so that nobody would know what the fuck was going on. Don't do this either, because this just makes you look super guilty, okay?
Gee, I wonder why they would be blocking me preemptively. Me, Carl, the guy who takes time to archive shit. I wonder, what could the reason possibly be?
I believe if I was to quote some of the people I was talking to today, it has something to do with harassing individuals, but I don't see what the harassing is, because holding people accountable for things is supposed to be part of how shit works. I thought that's what we wanted in the society. Accountability culture. You're not being canceled, you're just being held accountable for things, right, everybody? That's what I thought anyways. Moving on to the next story. This one. Oop. Clicked one too many times. This one comes from news stories about our dear Sleeper-in-Chief. Oh no, it's laggy. Oh no, it's laggy. There we go. Okay. It was having some technical issues just then. This next one. Stories coming from the borders. Specifically here on our US border. President Biden is currently riding multiple immigrants into the kids with cages, and instead are now calling them overflow facilities, while also trying to ramp up the actual amount of war effort that's about to go into the Middle East. I'd rather not usually mention shit like this, but it has to be mentioned because who is excited to live in this time period where we deal with these problems? Are you excited? Because I'm not.
I let me put it this way. I'm doubly of the mind of it, I guess, or whatever that means. For one, I am very upset about all this, and let me rephrase that. I am laughing at all this because this is what people. Well, okay. Remember Carl, that meme I posted the other day about in regards to Chris Ray gun. And I'm like, oh, if only there was a meme that we used perfectly to describe like it used that drone there covered in LGBT flag. Mm-hmm. Because he's of the camp of Vosh. Their chief into doing what we want and not that actually not happening at all, and it's hilarious. Like them saying, we need $50,000 of debt forgiveness, and then Biden just saying, no, I'm not going to do that. It's. I mean, you're shifting through all the memes, exactly. But in the other regard, I actually have a friend of mine who literally just moved back into my area, and after being on call in Honolulu, in Hawaii. And his response to me noting that literally a day after he got sworn in, things are building up over in Syria. He said, look, I can't say anything about this. And I'm just thinking to myself, he could literally get shipped over if this blows up. And I'm like, that's where I'm actually genuinely concerned for my friend. Mm-hmm. But the other side, all I can think of is, fuck, it's Joker saying, get what you fucking deserve. I'm just like looking at like Vosh attempting to put out this fire that he will never put out, and it's glorious because he's a fucking grifter. Apparently, as I was pulling up the feed again after, because I rushed to the restroom, Apparently, Dev just put up a video about the Vosh and I want to watch that when we're done. Oh, that's gonna be glorious. Anyway, but yeah, Biden being in the reincarnation of the Biden president of the Obama presidency and bombing people and going back to exactly where we were. It's almost like he wasn't returning us to normalcy, or rather, his return to normalcy was all the bad things. Well,
it's actually really interesting about that, because the fact that the word normalcy is being used the way it is actually fucking stupid, because normalcy isn't a word. The normal formation of that word's usage is actually normality. We're returning ourselves to the normality of something. Or just returning to normality. The idea of propping up this... Well, the other word for it is propaganda. Propping up this state-level propaganda that is being echoed by mainstream media, being echoed by any person who happens to be bought off or sympathetic to the Democratic Party, whether they consider themselves to be a libertarian who just happens to be playing at being an ANCOM, or as an ANCAP that just happens to be grifting off of people. It doesn't really matter. Any person who leans themselves on the Democratic left side are going to have to take the L for this, because, goddamn, who would have wondered that the Keystone Pipeline XL that was going to be able to transfer all that oil that we could have been able to have and gotten from Canada suddenly gets fucking shut down day fucking one of his time in office, and surprise, surprise, where are we gonna have to go get all that oil from as the prices skyrocket, everybody?
Big song.
Who would have known that the anti-fracking president would have done something that would have caused us to have to go right back to the Middle East, which is kind of relevant because I'm not sure how many people were paying attention at the time. This was a video that Stix Hex and Hadman 666 happened to make, because Stix is great, along with all the other people I watch. People like myself, people like Stix. I wouldn't actually, let me take myself out of that, because I wouldn't put myself in their level. Compared to them, I don't exist. But
I will note, Stix and Razorfist swapping ending phrases at the end of the videos. That was fun. Anyway, continue. I just wanted to note that was a lot of fun. Please do that more often, Stix. Please do it more often, Razor. I want that. That was amazing.
It's great. But it's important people to understand and remember. One of the things that we were told, or rather that we learned secondhand, was that there were officials of the administration, technically people who are supposedly still affiliated to the current administration, people in the past administration, who had lied to Trump about the amount of troops that were actually on the ground still relevant in the area. Granted, the important thing here is that even though some people would try to blame Trump for this is technically not his fault. If something were to have happened, and there would have been some kind of Syrian crisis that would have happened in the late periods of whenever the fuck, some group shot missiles or created IEDs and used improvised explosives to cause some kind of damage to any U.S. held compound or tactical resource or strategic position in the region. And it was reported that there were more bodies turned up of American troops and soldiers against the number of what would have been officially reported. Things like that can cause a literal international incident and can become the precipice and the excuse to cause World War III. Not joking. In fact, not only is this not something that you should be aware, of, this is something that is done all the time to create proxy wars. Because the idea is that you have a number of troops sitting around a position somewhere on the map, holding down something. Because the way that insurrection would happen isn't that your president and official, because you can actually tell this, because this is what happened with Myanmar. A little bit of relevance for people. This might put people to sleep, but I want you to understand how it works, because there are going to be people who lie to you about this. So if you hear somebody making this kind of... So if you hear somebody make this bullshit excuse, you can bring them to this part of my broadcast, and you can tell them I told them they're a fuck ass. The idea is you have people. Let's say you have 1,000 troops. Like close to what we fucking have right now in our capital. You have people standing around a building, and you tell them, stay here, defend this. And they're like, oh, okay, because they can't really disobey orders. You're commander-in-chief. Somebody one of our enemy foreign powers, or maybe even somebody who's one of our allies, assumes the worst. Like, why are there so many American troops here? They're trying to plan an invasion. We should probably preemptively defend ourselves and then hold their leader accountable for all these lives and deaths that happen. They get hurt, or they get maimed, injured, killed, whatever happens. You try to call them up saying, Mr. President, why was there 1,000 troops and you told us you had about 500 that just happened to be here in case we needed you? Do you know how fucking dumb and how weak you make a president look? When you make them look like they're either A, not aware of the actual troop tally that's supposed to be in an area, and B, how you make them look like the fucking liar? Do you know how that makes us look on a world stage? Do you know how that makes us look to our allies? Do you know how that makes us look to our enemies? Because China knows. Because they're thinking about invading Taiwan. That is something
Not only that, then there's the whole moon base bullshit.
Yeah. It's a serious problem.
How bad that'll look?
Oh, yes. Like, the main problem there, because this is the same thing that Stick said, and I agree with him.
Rihanna will be vindicated.
But that's another thing, too. Like, the idea that Biden would try to put somebody like Elon Musk under rules that have to do with literally U.S. imperialism, trying to make him subjective to the rule of a body that isn't even engaged in current interstellar exploration. Because all the tests to try and get shit to Mars is being exclusively done by SpaceX. That is not being done with the assistance of, technically, NASA in any real capacity. They're using some of their infrastructure to do this, but it is not the same thing as it being a venture effort between multiple unions or multiple countries collectively working together. You know, the conglomerate globalist sense of the word. You know, it's not like it's a joint US-Russian effort like we used to have after the space race was essentially settled, or anything else after that. The idea of somebody saying, oh, we're going to try and settle a position on a relay so that we can have travel between a base that we put on the moon and a position outside of Earth is the beginning step of literally interstellar supremacy. If that were to be regulated, just in the capacity of war, you have a relay that exists on a base on the moon that you physically cannot stop unless you are shooting down their rockets, which is already going to start a war to begin with. But they will have a base that will establish that the U.S. presence as a superpower no longer exists. Like, we've become so set in our laurels, or rather, our nation state has become so weak that our president would have no view for something like this, would allow it to happen, and would say, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna let you do it. No problem, Winnie the Pooh. Whatever you want. And completely bat an eye and roll their head to it, while China, who used to spend their time laughing at the Baichua, the white left, have now started to use this to their advantage. The weakness of our president, unfortunately, because they know that they can use it as a weapon. Because, goddamn, how many fucking foreign artists here on Twitter do you see getting attacked and harassed and banned? Just like the one that we just fucking had recently, which is what caused me to have a very interesting morning and a very interesting evening today with somebody that I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of. You know, the user LaxSage1. That user who you all would remember was the one who got put on blast the other week, specifically being called out as the user that was complaining about gatekeeping. That person. That individual, and individual accounts that attack users like that on the regular, would be vindicated and would actually work to the behest of a corporation and a business like Twitter to utilize a TikTok method of harassing people to get them kicked off of a platform so they can begin to use and weaponize this to get what they want. It's already been done. You've seen this in policy, but you probably have not seen it in the social media sense of like things that usually would not matter, like streaming or whatnot. But it's happening. It's there. It's something you shouldn't ignore. As much as we would like to ignore politics in our lives, as much as we have to, these things are super cognizant. And it's fucking terrifying, really.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when I heard about the whole the whatever Razor was talking about with Democrats trying to wrestle control of how voting works on a national level rather than to the states. Like, I was driving home that day from my parents' place after watching it, and I'm just thinking to myself, Oh fucking god! I don't want to think about politics, but this is something that's a big issue, and I can't ignore it.
Because this was actually one of the many things that was being brought up to the face of the Supreme Court, and Justice Roberts dismissed this along with a couple of other cases, a couple of hundred of other cases, supposedly Trump cases, but they were not Trump cases.
I fucking love Clarence Thomas. He is amazing. I've really gotten a real respect for that man as of late.
Corn Pop, don't play! Because Corn Pop wrote a dissenting opinion specifically about that problem, namely that they did not move on the precedent of dealing with these problems before the tallies were done, which makes it increasingly hard for them to deal with it after. This was a problem when there were courts that were ordered by subpoena to hold the ballots in question that needed to be looked at and verified. And these things were burned, shredded, lost in the mail, lost in translation, or just disappeared over fucking night. Much like how all of those votes appeared over fucking night. And for the people,
voting dead.
And just for the people who would like to go at it with a certain angle, the problem is not trying to nullify the election. The issue is setting the rules as a precedent beforehand. And settling the problem before you have an issue like, oh, we don't know who these ballots are for. Oops, we lost the ballots. I guess we'll never know. That is the telltale signs. One of the many, I believe 7 telltale signs of how you know you have a rigged election.
We checked all of them as far as I know.
Now, regardless of what we could say about the Hong Kong election, here on this platform, your duly elected president is Biden. That is certain. Hong Kong. But what we can verify is that we were told that it wasn't a stolen election, it was a fortified election. So
fortified, yes.
I hope
and Carl, don't forget, we were always at war with Eurasia as well. That's the other thing, Hong Kong.
So don't forget, when this happens again, if it happens in 2022 on the midterms, or in 2024, should either president, God willing, whomever is sitting in office at that time, which is probably going to be Kamala Harris, let's be honest. Whoever chooses and wins that election, more than likely, this will be happening again. So, take that with a grain of salt. Just pester and percolate on that for a second.
Random people on the internet musing about it, yeah.
Also, my nephew's calling me from outside my door, so you're gonna have to give me a second. But let me get into the next thing. Here we go. Tetsuya, more character design. People are complaining about character design again, and it's unfortunate.
Again. Oh, yeah, that whole thing. It says more about their obvious schoolgirl fetish than anything else. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, it's activating mine, but apart from that, what is the issue here, you know? Oh, he's talking with little munchkin.
There's food that is coming. My mother's trying to make me aware of it, but it's not helping me because I can't go nowhere. But let me get this up on screen for everybody so they can see it, because I'm not sure how many people saw this. But
well, yeah, I gave a little bit of my thoughts, but you continue.
This is from episode Yuffie, which is for the Final Fantasy VII remake, because they're going to be moving on to remake. They're going to be moving on to disc 2, and there were people that were complaining about 2 things specifically. The first one was this piece of lovely vision, and the second thing,
girl hotness.
And the second thing is that episode Yuffie will not be available to be played on PS4. You will have to buy the next gen console in order to be able to play it. So
play the rest of the game, you mean?
Yeah. It's not great. It's not good. Not in any form of the word. This is just a repeat of what we just said, unfortunately. Look forward to paying scalper prices if you want to be able to play the new next-gen console games. So, be in tune for that. But at the same time, People are bitching about the game design again. Never mind the fact they get to be horny like this, but they're just mad again about things that people told them already, and they didn't listen, so they get to enjoy this. What is your thoughts about the fact that people still are upset about interesting belt designs?
Belt design. Okay. First off, when I saw that picture, as I said while you were still talking with him, I don't really get what the issue is. I looked at that picture and I'm like, that activates my schoolgirl fetish, and I just left it at that. People are losing their mind over the belt. All I can think of right now is, okay, we got a lot of horny people who have a schoolgirl fetish, and it's activating in their head, and they're screaming about it. Look, okay, I get it. You probably went to a Catholic high school like I did, or was nearby one, and you freaking love the concept of pleated skirts. Okay, I see the belt thing. Pleated skirts, okay? I get it, okay? We all have that feeling. But don't be outraged, because some random person isn't going to look at that and say, what are you, like, they won't get the fact that you secretly have a schoolgirl fetish and thus are calling this sexualized. They'll look at you like you're crazy. I mean, you are, but... And as for the PS3, PS4 thing, you better pick up that phone because I called it. And also, for the record, I wouldn't say that me overtly hacking and pirating games is a sign of protest from me, but it might in fact be a sign of protest from me. And it might be that if theoretically I get the Biden books and have some left over from when I get a new processor for my computer, I might just get a PS4 just to fucking hack and pirate the wazoo out of because I fucking hate Sony. I might, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because I haven't got a PS4 yet, and I never really intended on it. And if I was going to get a PS4, I was going to get it with the express purpose of jailbreaking it and pirating the everything fuck out of it. Because I don't like Sony. Fuck them. So I'm not surprised here. These are the people who keep on thinking, well, this corporation says trans rights, so we're gonna support them. Sony don't give two rat's ass what you think. They treat you like you're automatically a pirate. I mean, I was talking about this the other day in the comments section of video, but you got to realize, I mean, this isn't relevant anymore, ironically enough, but Blu-ray was Sony's invention. Blu-ray was an abomination that sometimes required download updates to actually be able to play the disc. And then they invented 4K Blu-ray, which died almost immediately upon impact, which required an internet connection to fucking play the video. That's great until the server goes offline, and then you're fucked. But I'm of the belief, honestly, that with the scalping going on during the pandemic and the absolute dumpster fire that was the launch of Cyberpunk, even on next-gen consoles, I have this feeling that this will be the last generation regardless, and I want Sony to fucking die already. I want them to die and bleed out as much as I want Disney to, and Disney's currently doing that. So, well, one can dream. It's kind of ironic, though, that Sony will outlive Disney at some point.
I believe the best quote for this is the quote that was made by Gabe Newell, our Lord Gabe, that an act of piracy is the act of a service issue. Let's be a better company.
Shoot, no, he's right. He's wrong. He's not right. He's not wrong. Rather, look at iTunes. Look at iTunes. Look how that fixed the issue. That's all I need to say. That's like the perfect. If people wouldn't say, well, actually, when it comes to Gabe, no. Look at iTunes. I'm sorry. That fixed the problem. That's a perfect example to what Gabe is saying. All you gotta say. Oh God.
This next one.
I see what you're clicking on, Veto. Here we go.
This next one's going to be an interesting take because unfortunately you're going to have to get into it because this is a two-parter. First one is, of course, roasting Vito, because we roast Vito here on this channel. But the second one is actually related to the thing that he's talking about. This is actually a W in Vito's case. But the reason why it's a W is not the reason why it was posted. This is the thing I said before. Whenever he has a good take, it's not that he's saying it because it was a good take and he thought of it. It's that somebody else said it to him and he was probably beaten the fuck out in an argument. And he just took whatever they said and repeated it and then copied it as his own and said, this is mine. But the first thing, this is also an archive. There's a reason that most AAA games are geared towards men and it isn't sexism. This take did not get a lot of play for him. But the picture, if it ever fucking loads, is a very old, actually, piece of data that comes from some of the peer review studies about women and how many women to men were inside of a specific genre interacting with games as a whole. The scale itself is basically, mobile games at the top with a very significant wide margin of, I believe it was 67% ratio, matched up against things like match 3 games, and at the very, very bottom was an involvement number of about 3 or so. That leads into something that unfortunately was deleted by the Twitch account, but I think I already have it here on my computer, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up for you if I can find it. And you can get to watch this cringe, because boy, I was fucking lucid when I saw this. So, give me a second, so I can cue it up for you.
Second is over.
But, I'll also need to go and get things from the car, because apparently he just got here. So that'll take me a couple of seconds to do while that's happening. I don't know how long it'll take me, but I'll try to do that quickly and come back. I apologize in advance for the dead air. Let's see here. Should be here.
Oh, I can make it not dead.
But here we go.
He is not yet dead.
Hold on. Here we go. All right.
All right.
And
women creators are shaping the gaming space by building.
Any minute now.
Hold on.
I am holding. What should I hold?
Women creators are shaping the gaming space by building amazing communities,
this whole
supporting
bullshit.
each other.
There are so many beautiful, vibrant, talented, and incredible women content creators
I
on
think
Twitch.
it's,
Women
frozen
creators
on
are
stream,
shaping
though.
this industry in such a beautiful way simply by
Oh, no, it's good. We're
being
good.
themselves.
I celebrate women on Twitch every. Women creators are shaping the gaming space by building amazing communities, supporting each
Critical.
other.
There are so many
Wixman.
beautiful, vibrant, talented, and incredible women content creators on Twitch.
Women creators are shaping this industry in such a beautiful way simply by being themselves.
I celebrate women on Twitch every day by being the representation that I seek.
I decided to start streaming shortly after I came out
hell is up
publicly.
with
To
her
me, the
eyeliner?
biggest reason was that I wanted to create the representation that I never really
You can
saw
tell that one
out
girl with the
there.
guitars is
I have this
obviously
little
reading from
corner
a
of the
teleprompter.
internet that I'm
From
able
a
to
script,
just
I mean.
create this really nice space for people.
I want to show that I can do it so other people can also feel like they can do it.
Women creators are needed in this industry so that the next generation never has to
is up
hear
with her
she's only
jawline?
successful because she's
That
Can I
freaking
say that
wrinkle
women
on the
girl?
fuck. Oh my god, she is. Most of those ladies are reading from a script, and it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. That was the post that was given here originally. This ratio was so big that Twitch walked that back. Because if you notice, the thing that these women were saying was women, but you notice that it was spelled as Wemekis. They tried really hard to pander, and it was not the gamers that slapped them down. No, it was not even conservatives that slapped them down. Granted, I'm saying conservative here because, middle of the plan, middle of the center, left of center, right wing, left wing. It was the left wing.
Anything right of Mao is.
Yes, but it was actually the very woke scolds themselves descending on Twitch and pulling their entire scalp out of their head. Because if I have it here,
Fatality.
I think I have it. I know I saved this one, but I didn't get an archive of it, but this other one should have an archive of it. Here we go.
Well,
Wait, no.
I will.
That's Burger King. Trying to find the one that I have of it. I don't think I have it saved. No, I don't. I do not have it saved. But the original post itself was about Women History Month and celebrating and including women. And the thing about that, let me see if I can actually find it on archive.is, because if I can find it there, it should be there. I hope people have learned. We're about to learn if people have learned. Hold on. Yes, swear, Jesus Christ.
All right, cool.
People are learning, ladies and gentlemen. They're learning. Archive first, talk shit second. Beautiful. March is Women's History Month, spelled with an X. Join us in celebrating and supporting all the women creating their own worlds, building their communities, and leading the way on Twitch. Read more here. I don't even know if it'll have my post here, but you did not just use women. This is about being as inclusive as possible, including people who are transgender and or non-binary. There are better fights to pick, because in the end, this is about lifting up people who are traditionally marginalized. And if you see here, this ratio here is telling of everything you need to understand about what the fuck is happening. So let's just peep these replies for a moment. Let me just try to scope it like this, because it's not very long. And while I'm going to get things out of the car, you can read out the ones that stand out to you, chat. I'll be right back.
So how about them Mets? Sorry, couldn't resist. But I have a special take for this, to be quite honest. I'm waiting for Carl to come back for that.
And I return.
Latinx is referenced.
There's actually a lot of references in here. I think this one was my favorite post. Because, I took this one. I shamelessly stole this Wojak. Also, that verse you heard in the background that said, I don't give a fuck, I'll disturb the shit out of that. That would be my brother.
Oh, yeah, I figured that was him.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful, wonderful gentleman. And I'm being sarcastic, obviously.
That's an entirely different conversation for another day. But
yes.
They got flamed about this so much that they walked that back and actually apologized for trying to pander that hard. So, this is one of those cases where you got one on the internet, you won, and you did it without having to really sacrifice much in the process. Next up off of that is, let me see here.
Can I make a note? I sent you two separate memes that describe my entire take on the X and women. Like, it's become a meme. Or the meme has become reality.
Mm-hmm. I'll take a look at it in a second. Up on screen here, we have the next thing that happened.
Okay, go on ahead.
That's funny. But next thing that happened. This is screenshots of effectively, for everybody who had saw it, Dr. Seuss. The official story,
yes.
in its conclusion, is the publishing company for Dr. Seuss decided that they were going to unpublish 3 specific books from their collection. Everything else is being left up, and the reason why it was removed was specifically for the purposes of it being morally indecent. Quoting the illustrations in the book, many people claimed that these illustrations were insensitive and thus did not need to exist or be. And actually, it's not a case of cancel culture because the publishing company is unpublishing them. You can be able to freely interact and exchange and buy them wherever else you want, but
except eBay.
Except eBay, because the materials the books were being removed, if you can read here, as a listing being removed on the account of being an offensive material under their offensive material policy. However, and I'm going to just Google check it right now for you. eBay. Mine. Kampf. This is still up. They are removing. Y'all can't see this, but let me get it to the wider view. Hold on. But just to make sure that it's clear, they are banning, or rather, they have agreed to censor and remove sales of these Dr. Seuss's books on the account of being offensive policy. But books like Mein Kampf, you can still get a deal on those. Apparently ranging from the amount of being able to get it for as little as $25. Yeah.
Is anyone surprised? I'm not.
Oh, I'm hella not surprised. I'm not shocked in the fucking least. It's just a high tier of hypocrisy, as big as it can get. Because
Oh yeah.
the entire fucking problem is that you cannot, under any circumstances, claim it's not cancel culture when it's very obviously cancel culture. The entire idea...
Well,
The entire idea is actually directly out of the rules for radicals. What they are doing is they are trying to get people to throw away cornerstones and culture points that are the reference for people to have in their youth. For people like books like Huckleberry Finn, Call of the Wild, Catcher in the Rye, Mary Shelley Frankenstein. These books are part of a relative point of history, kind of like basic British works and English literature, like Chaucer. If you ban Chaucer and you say you need to decolonize your thinking and you replace Chaucer, or in this case, you replace Dr. Seuss with My Anti-Racist Baby, that becomes the new cultural relevant point.
Often always written by a white woman, by the way.
Always written by a white woman. Or written by, you know, one of the many token black people that tell them that actually you're super racist, therefore do what I want. If you erase that cultural cornerstone and you replace it with something else, you can strong-arm people into essentially accepting the brutalism that is being foisted upon them for no other reason than because they want you to hate what has never been a problem. Remember, in the Obama administration, when you had Michelle reading Dr. Seuss books to the kids? In the period of that time, in the period of this time period, literally, in this case, it technically would be 4 to 8-ish years, but in the span of 4 to 8 years, the Overton window has shifted so far to the left that you have people thinking that because you have pieces of these books, which I can agree with you that it's not culturally, temporally relevant. You know, like, if I was to go up to an Asian guy named Adam, he's not going to have a full Fu Manchu, right? But something that is in a children's book is considered abhorrent and obscene. But the Antifa Manifesto, the Scum Manifesto, the multiple manifestos written in general by social internet weirdos.
On the Jewish question.
And things like that. On the Jewish question, even. Things that are very clearly pieces of their time. Because this is something that we've already succeeded at when it comes to things like the WB. And, well, not Disney, because Disney fails at this, because apparently The Muppet Show is horrible for this, which, that's a little bit of a contextual issue, because The Muppet Show itself did have stereotypes that was a product of its time. Like, I'm pretty sure almost every single Muppet that was created by the Jim Henson Company was supposed to be a stereotype of something, you know, like the old...
Miss Piggy is meant to be a stereotype of the strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
Yeah.
I think that's why they put the thing up there, when you think about it.
You got Miss
I mean,
Piggy.
so is that droid in Solo.
Mm-hmm. You have Miss Piggy, you've got the two crotchety old dudes that are just sitting up in the wings of the theater, that are just shitposting at people. You have the case example of all of the horrible, if you want to compare them to that standard, you have all of the horrible wartime propaganda cartoon pieces of, you know, like Donald Duck.
But cartoons have already been political. Mm-hmm. That's what Alex Hirsch told me until I called him out and he blocked me. Mm-hmm. That was so worth it.
But you have all of the old Looney Tunes. You have some of the
censored 11, Carl. The censored 11.
I'm trying to remember them. You have Tex Avery, Hanna-Barbera, Walt Disney specifically.
All this and Rabbit Stew, Tin Pan Alley Cats, Cold Black and D7 Dorbs, Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips. I know half of these because I looked into this shit when I was a kid.
Like, you have all of these wartime things that would have all of these anti-sentiments, anti-Jewish sentiments, anti-Nazi sentiments, anti-Asian sentiments, because remember,
oh yes,
FDR, ladies and gentlemen. Because what's more American than putting your fellow fucking Japanese and Asian people into fucking concentration camps? That's great, right?
Carl, remember, the only reason why Mickey Mouse is a mouse and why Oswald is a rabbit is a clever way to hide the fact they're basically doing minstrel shows in blackface. That was the fucking point. Just thought I'd note that and walk away.
But it's like, it's just
they won't cancel that.
Well, they're not going to, because they're just going to ignore that and just keep on trudging.
Stop asking questions. Just consume product.
It's just another piece of hypocrisy that people should push back on with all of their fucking strength, because you should not let them decide that they're just going to do that to you. It is unacceptable that they would even suggest it as an idea, but they did. So, moving on to that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Double standard.
I'll just pull up the next thing.
Double standard. It's a fucking double standard, and it's this is why I or like a Looney Tune with some of these people intellectually, because I know they're not there to make an argument. They're just there to tell me to shut up. And so when I'm sitting there in their feed and they're my captive audience, I am going to cause as much cognitive dissonance as I can while the spotlight is on me, because these people don't actually think critically, and that's their flaw. If you were to compare Dr. Seuss to Mein Kampf and you pointed that out to them and they looked at it and they didn't deny it, they'd realize, wait, that doesn't make any sense. These things are contradictory. Or when you point out to a communist, On the Jewish Question was written by the person you worship, and yet I'm apparently the Nazi for disagreeing with you. You know, that's not weird or anything. Continue.
Getting away a bit from Le Politique, we're going to get into another piece of what happened. Now we're catching up to this week's news.
What happened?
Burger King made a tweet.
Yes.
Where they suggested women belong in the kitchen. If they
is actually based.
If they want to be. The idea, of course, being that wonderful blend that I think there was a user that called this out, actually, that there would become a point where the brand accounts would eventually get a hold of the way that the post-ad hoc left choose to talk about things, and would weaponize that clickbait method of getting people to react to things to monetize them for clout. And that is exactly what the Burger King UK account did by tweeting out a thread trying to promote women and diversity in the kitchen by saying women deserve and belong in the kitchen. But you and I are not stupid, so when you hear someone say on a tweet, women belong in the kitchen, without even clicking on the next tweet in the chain and thread to get the context, what do you immediately think, Charza?
That quote from that one gun channel. Well, now this is actually based.
Yes, but if you're not us, right? If you're just a normie, what would you immediately think if somebody said women belong in the kitchen?
I would literally think back to when I was once invited to a Facebook group. It was called A Woman's Xbox, and it shows an oven, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Your first reaction is gonna be, what the fuck is this bullshit? Oh my god, I can't believe you did that, right? And you can only imagine what the opinion of a person who spends all their time saying yes, women first would have, right? What the fuck? Who the fuck do you think you are, right? This is what Burger King was counting on.
But by the way, Carl, can you post this meme to the screen? I feel like it has relevance. It's something I made a couple years ago.
Hold on. I will.
I made it in Source Filmmaker, so that was fun.
Just 1 second.
It was back when they used the milkshakes.
Ah, yes, this. Staying apolitical to appeal to all advocates.
But I feel like it is very relevant to this.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
I literally rigged up that model just so I could have him do a dab.
Yes, this was with the, I don't think it was particularly riots in question, it was just demonstrations. But,
no, Sargon. It was all throwing milkshakes at Sargon with cement in them.
Miss Joe Brand saying, well, they should have, instead of throwing milkshakes, they should have been throwing things with battery acid. Yes, this was during his UKIP elections, actually.
And Burger King basically said, we got milkshakes, bring them over, come get some from here. And I put this meme, just posted up. Yeah, I just felt like it was it was a similar vibe. And I'm like, excuse to post this? Oh, I'll do that. That's when I saw that tweet, I was like, oh, an excuse to post this old meme I made like years ago. Oh, sure. Anyway.
Yes, that's wonderful. That's nice. But
yeah, back to the subject of women belonging in the kitchen.
Getting back to it. The UK account, or I guess more specifically, Burger King Corporate. Burger King Corporate retracted and deleted the original thread. I don't think it's there anymore. I tried looking for it, and I'm not going to care to go look for the archive of it. It's not necessary.
I saw tweets that were like, wait, they deleted it? Why did you do that? So yeah, it was pretty much deleted.
I mean, I took the moment to make a meme that everybody's probably seen, that you could probably find if you go back through my media tab. You know that one picture of like the Pokemon of that one trader with like the skirt and the underleggings and the boobs, and like it's the picture of them taking a picture of her and she's throwing out the peace sign, but it's hyper focused on her.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I did with that. I was entertained, but they walked this back and said, we hear you. We got our initial tweet wrong and we're sorry. Our aim was to draw attention to the fact that only 20% of the professional chefs in the UK kitchens are women and help change that by awarding culinary scholarships. We will do better next time. We decided to delete the original tweet after our apology. It was brought to our attention that there were abusive comments in the thread, and we don't want to leave space open for that.
So they're throwing it back on the people who are calling them based.
Yes.
It's their fault, not ours.
No,
we were only pretending to be retarded.
It's not our fault. We just wanted to start a conversation.
Oh, that whole bullshit excuse. Oh, wow, right, yeah.
Like, whenever it comes up and is used like that, I understand that there are people who will unironically do something for attention, specifically to start a conversation. Like, I will do that sometimes. I will poke a bear on purpose, and I will just set up a tripod camera, metaphorically speaking, and I'll just poke a bear and I'll be like, and here starts your fireworks. Because it's hilarious, and it's funny. Because the point of doing that isn't to try and bring attention to whatever dumb thing inside of the incident. You know, like Super Straight. I don't think I have Super Straight in here, but we can talk about that for a second. The entire idea behind something like Super Straight isn't that people are unironically calling themselves Super Straight. It's the fact that you have a concept, right? Identitarianism.
It's okay to be white.
You have identitarianism with people who have pushed the idea that you have to have the 72 flavors of xenogender, where trying to tell people, listen, I just want to love who I love, and I want to be left alone. I don't want anything outside of that. Like, that I'm cool with whatever you do. I don't care. Just leave me out of it. I'm not involved. That's not enough. No, you need to be involved. You need to, like, suck the cock, bigot. That is where we've gotten to, because if you don't fuck trans people, that means you're transphobic. You have to suck the cock. You have to kiss the person. You have to accept the fact that if you are even casually dating these people, not that
You have to let them rape you.
not that if you're a chaser, not if you're Scrump, which we love Scrump here.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
of all the people,
Scrump. We all love Scrump. I remember the time I got him to laugh.
Like we're not talking about people who are explicitly chasing somebody. We're not talking about desperate people. We're talking about normal, casual individuals.
Well, to be fair, the trans people are a bit more desperate, but I'm just saying.
Yes, but I can't say that.
They're literally all the good have all the good men gone people. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
But,
that was a bit too far.
But it's the idea that you have a concept like Super Straight, which let me see if I can actually pull up Super Straight, just to.
Well, it's based. That's all it is. That's all this meme is.
Some people might not know. I just want to have it up on the screen. Because I know Dev made a video about this, but I want to do it on my live stream because I would rather cover this here than make a video about it because I don't want to. I'm lazy.
But that Dev made a video on it. It was pretty good. My mom liked it.
Like, he's correct, but I'm just gonna simplify it easy for people. Like,
okay, TLDR, got it.
Yes, all of this right here that you see on screen, all these things. The problem with Super Straight is that it is much like the 72 Xenogenesis Fravors, right? It was originally started by a person who made a TikTok that made it explainable that actually, no, I'm not transphobic because I choose to not be with trans people. It's that I'm super straight. I only involve myself with people who are women, who identify as women, and I go in my lane. And if you harass me about it, that makes you super straight phobic. That was the entire idea. The entire idea was flipping the concept on the head of being a person who harasses people nonstop, that they need to be acknowledged for this thing that they're involved in. And when a person comes along and says, no, you're not, you're just being an extremely bad bigot, what you're actually doing is justifying the fact that you are mauling about something that is obviously a fucking meme. And instead of just ignoring the meme and saying, okay, whatever the fuck, who cares? Instead, you're trying to find ways to justify it. You're trying to find ways to rebuke it. You're trying to find ways to find your way around the label of it. You have one of the more notable examples and answers to this, which was somebody saying, well, it's not actually a thing because, you see, it's not real, but somebody going, oh, yes, it is, because, see, we harassed people to have it removed from the DSM-5 as a medical illness because there are people calling it a mental illness. So it's like, yeah, checkmate, bigot.
Yes, I love that.
The entire idea is that you should not be losing yourself in arguments like this. You should not be taking it seriously. Carl, yeah.
One of my most successful tweets over the last 24 hours. Solid. It was basically, this person was like, I need to ask you super straight dudes, if you saw me and didn't know I was non-binary, what would you tell your confused boner? Pan over to Stone Task comic. Boners.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That was so much fun.
It actually turns.
That was a blast to make.
It actually turns out that one of my mutuals happened to interact with that person in question who's in that meme, actually.
Oh, God.
They used to be a friend of them, but then the person started getting really into the progressive shit, and then all of a sudden, they were having metaphysical sex with ghosts.
Oh.
Yeah. Got bad. That fast. But, be it as it may, with the Burger King situation, and on the same time with Super Straight, I'm not concerned whether or not with Burger King making a point. The entire situation is just funny, because we're at the point now, because this technically is the problem that comes with Wendy's. But we're at the point with branding where you have the brand agencies and also the media market managers of these companies starting to take advantage of internet leet speak and take advantage of just internet culture to try and sell things to people, as brands do.
Yeah, silence brand.
And the problem is that the more that this happens, the more cringe it becomes. Because on one hand, it's like a ratio of cringe to baseness. Because unironically, it's a humorous meme when it happens, you know, like telling women to be in the kitchen, based. But at the same time, it's not that funny, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, but it's funny in the ironic sense of like, goddamn, I didn't know we would get here this fast, because it would have been something that we would have made up like as a punchline to a joke 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not a punchline, it's real, and they're really making money on
See,
that
also
concept.
getting triggered. I mean, see, also people getting angry about the word man existing in women, so they add an X to it.
Mm-hmm. Like, you're not being inclusionary, and you're also not helping the demographics you think you're helping. Because actually, if you wanted to be inclusive of trans people, you would literally just call them women. Because by putting an X in wimekis and making it clear that you are otherizing them, you have now seen them out to be seen as something other than what they are trying to be. If I were a transgender, I would consider that the greatest offense, that I go through all of these pains to appear as, to be as, and to live as the gender that I want to express myself as. And all of a fucking sudden, I have this big-ass corporation that's basically punching me in the face every single time they tell me, buy our brand, buy our brand, buy our brand. Imagine if Wemekis was actually a brand. Like, that was actually the brand of a company. And every single time they were trying to get you, a male, or you, or female, or you, a transgender, or even you, a detransitioner. Because not many people like to talk about detransitioners in the left. They do not like to acknowledge they even exist.
Cyberpunk with that ad that everyone lost their mind over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the one with the gun?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one with the massive badongas.
The what was it fucking called? Oh, fuck. What was the name of the goddamn upgrade in question? I don't even remember. You know the one I'm talking about, because we're thinking of the one, but it's the
Johnson and Leotard, yeah.
Johnson and Leotard, like Mr. Wang upgrade. That thing.
Yes.
That
and this is my whip.
That is one of the things that kind of like gets them stuck up on this. Because the issue is that if you make it an issue about representation, if you make it an issue about inclusion, you are being exclusionary to the very people you say you're trying to include. Because when Steam did this with the Latinx sale on Steam, they immediately withdrew that shit, and they just fucking walked that back immediately. For people to stop doing this, and for corporations to stop doing this, to try and stop monetizing this, the only way to get pushback on it is that the people who they're trying to pander to start doing it themselves. And with that, as well as with Twitch, it was necessary, and I applaud them also, it was necessary that the individuals who did that was specifically those women, those trans people, and the, let's go ahead and say allies of them, that were with them for that. Because it is only when you reject it that they'll stop doing it. It doesn't matter if I laugh at them. It's not there for me. They're not targeting me with that kind of ad. They're targeting you. So if you push back on it, they'll stop doing it, because it's like, oh shit, the people who actually we would make this for don't even want it. So we're not even gonna make money of this. Reject, eject, eject, eject. That's what you have to do. So good on them. It's wonderful that they've done that, which moves on to the next thing. This was actually sent to me, my Wonder Zaro, because I heard...
Speaking of, I'm literally running into a situation where his Miners comic is relevant. Literally, I'm trying to find it right now so I can post it. Anyway.
I think I have a copy of it, but it's a whole thing when I try to fucking access pictures while live.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Here, from an account by the name of No Name, I kinda am aware of who this person is, but I don't know their name exactly. It's not necessary. The post in question: you only hate communism due to CIA propaganda.
Oh yes, this.
I never understood why people say it's only good on paper. Like, what the fuck are you scared of? I love when I come across "this will be America under communism" posts and then show pictures of America under capitalism. CIA propaganda and Stalinist propaganda. While both had different motives, they always ensured that from the left or from the right, communism became associated with the one party instead of opposed to, actual communal living. And of course, people telling them that's not how it fucking works. And then always believe opposite of what the CIA says. This, but entirely unironically. The entire idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is the concept is that if you say these things and then you say, I do not like communism because he doesn't work, what is going on in North Korea or the Uyghurs, and you have somebody repeat this by saying you only hate communism because of CIA propaganda, it means that you have failed to understand the problem. Because the worker has fallen in love with a system that exploits them. Literally. It's an issue. And the reason why it's an issue is you run afoul of the problem that Disney's currently running afoul of. Because I wonder, did they film any of the scenes in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier near a Uyghur camp? Are they going to celebrate and cheer on the diverse culture of putting people in chains and cages and harvesting their organs? Are they going to talk about that? Are they going to relevance that? I don't know. I don't think they will. It's dumb that people think that, because any person with any idea knows what the problem is. But even on the face of it, if you just go at the lowest common denominator, no, nobody likes communism because nobody wants to be shot in the street and have their shit stolen. Because the important lesson, if any person's ever read the actual Communist Manifesto, there's a translation that you can go read that is translated from the original German, and you can read Marx's words explicitly for himself. Chapter 2, bottom of the page. It is the final paragraph, as well as the 10-part plan. He lays out, in clear words, the entire point of what socialism and communism is supposed to do, which is to set you up and create a paradigm where the worker no longer is the underclass. They are instead now the new rich upper class, namely the difference between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. When the supposed bougie, I'm going to just paraphrase, get taken out by the proletariat with the weaponized arm of the state, because the state's going to legalize it, the bourgeoisie will be pulled out into the street and have everything that they own taken from them. Supposedly they'll be given something personal to hold on to, but in reality and in practice, that's not actually what happens. Instead, they just get shot in the street and turned toward the wall and then piled up with the rest of the bodies. And then once that happens, things are taken from you. They take your shit, they kill you, they take your ownership in your property and your means of production. It is then given over to the state, and literally everybody's supposed to work in the happy homogeny that is agriculture and industry, while those who live in power rule over you, and it is now a state system where you have the haves and the have-nots, where the people in the government, the commissars, the leaders, the great leader, they'll have money. Nicolas Maduro is currently chazzing it up still, going to the celebrity chef Salt Bay's restaurant, eating lamb tips, and getting merchandise. He can have all the capitalism he wants, but for people like mutuals like Caleb Prime, still living in Venezuela, they are not having the funnest of time. They have water rations. They have lack of basic fucking rights. Including the right to actually shop for things. They don't have things in their stores. Supply chains are broken up. There's an outright separation in the city between the loyalists and the people who are living there. It's alright fucking pandemonium. But yes, the only reason why people hate communism is due to CIA propaganda. Not ever if they happen to have lived through it, not if they have relatives and ancestors that lived through it, not any person that can relatively talk about it. God damn, it's almost as though this is some shit we could have learned from fucking South Africa, huh?
People learn from South Africa?
Yes, people do learn from South Africa. This is actually the situation that is happening with some reparations that were supposed to be claimed on the behest of Biden from white farmers here in America, being told that their farms were taken as a form of reparations. It's exactly like the white farmers that are Danish descendants under the ANC government having their land, and in some cases their lives taken, as their murders were sanctioned, and then after their farms were taken over by the black populace, They couldn't actually work the land, and the land became infertile, the crops died, and people starved even more with the famine. And when the official that told them to do this died, nobody showed up to his funeral. It's like that. We're doing that again, but in America now. Except the person who owns those farms is Bill Gates. Are y'all ready to eat some fucking processed meat and some vegan food? Because that's coming. You're gonna eat the bugs, kids.
I swear to...
You're gonna eat the bugs, and you're gonna like it.
You know, the funny thing is, like, my family are very much aware of not taking the vaccine. With that said, like, I found out this last week from my therapist that, like, Adderall-based or, Ritalin-based ADHD meds like I take require you to have protein in your system. And I have even noticed this. If I start my morning with a big bowl of corned beef hash, I'm going to be a lot better off than if I had, like, a bagel or something. So, I mean, there's that lawsuit, I guess, from California where a literal stage 3 cancer patient with terrible asthma is suing a grocery store because they forced her to wear a mask and she can't wear a mask. They told her to leave. You know where else? You know, the other place she's suing for the exact same reason?
No.
Give a wild guess, Carl.
Walmart?
No. It's the place where she gets her routine cancer screenings. They said, "Oh, you are here to get your cancer screening, and you have stage 3 cancer and terrible asthma that requires that you can't really wear a mask in." Well, I guess you can't get your cancer screening for your stage 3 cancer that we're fucking aware of.
Oh, that's fucking cursed.
Yeah, about time the proper lawsuit's been filed. But I'm just like, Carl, I may have mentioned this on the stream before, so if I have, make sure you let me know. But I one of my worst fears as a TISM man on the spectrum is that a nonprofit like Autism Speaks, who has been founded on the concept that my mental state is a disease in need of a cure, not unlike the mutants, and their whole thing is to find a cure. And they need to find out where it's from in order to find a cure. Say, for example, hypothetically, they spent all this time looking into what the cause is. They spend all this time getting the proper, like, spending all this research, all this shilling, all this whatever, and they find out it's a genetic problem. Do you really think this nonprofit is going to be the one nonprofit to say, "Okay, good game, everyone. We're not going to perpetuate our existence because in doing so, we'd have to advocate for eugenics. Good game, everybody." Do you really think they're going to do that?
I'll answer that question with another question. Do you think that BLM actually gave all that money that they raised on behalf of black people to black people, or do you think it went to Vote and Act Blue, which is where all the money was donated through, when it was donated to the BLM Foundation? Not the Atlanta chapter of Black Lives Matter. We can actually figure out where that money is, because Killer Mike can vouch for it. We're talking about all those millions of dollars that were literally donated through the Act Blue website on behalf of Black Lives Matter as a
Well, then I'll ask you a question, Carl. Has Biden met with those people yet?
No. No, they haven't.
That's been a wonderful reoccurring statement on Biden posting else.
Oh, how long has it been now? It's been like, what? Because this is longer than the presidency, because he didn't meet with them at all, period. So it's like, what, 100 days now? Because I know when it was released,
they sound like a really bitter ex. It's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
It's you'll love to see it. You'll love to see it.
Because activist-wise, this is actually the issue with a lot of nonprofits. Because realistically, it's not that they're nonprofits; it's that it's a way for them to launder money. That's the reality. Yeah. They might as well be a form of a super PAC. But it's it's how the game's played. And
what's the difference between a nonprofit and a super PAC? Seriously, I mean, is there a difference?
So you have the basic idea of
I'm being sarcastic.
Well, yes, but it is important to explain it for some people.
Fair.
It's always important. So you can always learn something.
Learning is fun.
The idea.
Hello, Superintendent Chalmers. I'm learning.
The idea of the difference is basically it's the difference between if I open up a foundation that specifically and explicitly makes it clear that every single dime, every penny you give to me, you get to know where it goes, and you physically get to see the actual change done with it. So if I was to open up a local soup kitchen and I said I need $5,000 to secure the permit for a building so that I can be able to serve at least 100 people every hour on the hour to make sure that everyone within a 10-block radius of my home where the facility can be found are able to eat, or for something that's actually done here in my town, a business by the name of Mercy Med, which is actually, unironically, in itself growing commerce and produce, just like the supposed Chaz Chop Zones tried to and failed. They have an entire section of land outside of their hospice situation where you have this very left-leaning, woke people that are part of an organization that are in the medical industry and are working on the front lines with COVID testing, both in the butt and up the nose. So take your pick, ladies and gentlemen. And they are doing the things that they would suggest that you would actually do for those reasons. And they're showing you it, and you can physically see it. You can see them at the local fucking grocer's market selling the excess. You can find them at the co-op where they're growing the food. You can even, when you're going to the location itself, if you have to go get a testing or if they're giving you a physical checkup or whatever, you can see the vegetables in the ground. You can physically see it.
Carl, why would you do any of that when you can use Daddy's credit card and pretend that you're making a difference in the world because you're LARPing as a commie?
Well, of course. Because the alternative to this is, say you're Vosh and you're someone that says, well, I think that just making content is just good enough, and if people give me money, well, that's fine.
If I get really rich and I'm advocating for the removal of people rich like me, well, that's just fine.
Like, if you... Okay, so there's two examples of this. You have Destiny, who's actually done political canvassing, and he's done something physically good. He actually went outside of himself and did something.
Yeah, he got rid of that white supremacist who's half Persian.
I giggle every single time you bring that up. But you have people like Destiny, or someone like Destiny, or myself, who goes out in the world...
Who's a midget?
No, I'm only 5'7".
I know.
I think I'm 5'7".
You think? I'm 6'4".
I haven't measured my height recently. I'll have to do that at some point. I have to go to I gotta go to one of those gas stations or one of those fast food places that have like the measurement ruler on the outside door, so you can actually look at how tall you are. They can. You know what I learned? They actually have that for IDing purposes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, when they get robbed, it's like they go back over the footage and they have the thing hanging at the door, and it's like, oh, it looks like he's 5'7", 5'8". There's your identification officer. They just live and give them the tape, and that's all they goddamn need.
That's cool.
But you have people like Destiny that go out in the world and they do actual change, and even if it doesn't matter if it's religious
and
reasons.
sharing their girlfriend, but that's another thing.
Oh my God.
He's a proud cuck. He's a proud cuck. Because when I come home at night, I'm happy that my girlfriend gets me an STD because she trusts me because I'm a fucking great person.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I have so many jokes that come to mind.
You're just being a savage tonight. My God.
Dude, I like I said, I've found there have been people who have said, unironically, and I quote, John Tron, quote, looks white, so therefore he is white. No, Michael Jackson does not count. That was one of the greatest lol cows I ever had the pleasure of milking, for the record. Oh, that was fun. I'm sorry. I will admit, I have in fact made memes where I photoshopped Destiny's face onto a jigsaw running in a tricycle where it says, I would like to pose a debate. I'm sorry. Old habits die hard.
Okay. So there's a difference in this sense between somebody like myself or somebody like Destiny going out into the world, and it doesn't matter if it's secular. It wouldn't matter if it was theological, but created.
Well, it would matter to the people that get angry because it doesn't matter what you do if you're theological. If you're even smelling like an evangelicist, well, they will see you as terrible.
Well, I say it before the idea of like, if this person has
In
a
general, for
sin
sane people.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
For people
I know.
who are sane.
I know. It happens all the time, actually, because even with my own parish, we have this kind of issue. And even if you were just like a passing Christian or a devout Muslim, they would still give you help. It's not going to be barred off to you because you don't have the same denomination of faith. But if somebody goes out in the world and they do something that's good, even if that person is fucking Vosh Yorhans, Irish laddie 235, posting his
with a Jabba the Hutt girlfriend and a penchant for bringing up CP and non-related arguments just out of the blue.
If they were to do something, and it was
Scooty shirt and gnomed body. Anyway,
if they were to do something good in the world, I can't take that away from them.
Sorry, continue.
If they were to do something good in the world, I can't take that away from them, right? Because like I can laugh at them for the dumb shit.
They'd have to do that though.
They haven't, which is the point. But if they go out in the world and they do that good, if you can physically show me you in a soup kitchen and you physically went there, it wasn't a photo op, it wasn't a okay shit, get the shit off me, fucking slave work.
It wasn't cry in the parking lot. You actually went there and did something.
If you show up and it's not just, well, I helped out once. I gave like maybe 2 to 3 hours of my day. If you show up every other day and you don't talk about it, and just someone happens to notice that you're there, and it's just like oh yeah, hey, hi. Next in line, if you do something like that, I can't take that away from you. I can laugh at you for looking like a fucking slob as much as I want on the internet, but you have done a
and laugh at his girlfriend who looks like Jabba the Hutt. Anyway,
my God, Charza, stop it.
I'm sorry. It makes me laugh every time I see her. See that photo, that wonderful stream shot.
It's not Vermin's fault. It's not Vermin's fault. I'll say that much. But if you instead say yes,
Carl.
what?
You do realize Vosh got a cameo in this week's Hell of a Boss, right?
Yes.
He was a Santaman.
I saw.
He was a Santaman gnome with the cuties # shirt.
But if you are somebody who makes, I don't fucking know, let's say 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures even, because there are some streamers that make that much.
He's a bourgeoisie is what he is.
I don't think he makes that much. It's probably more like 4 to 5, somewhere in the thousands.
It's like Bernie. Range. It's like Bernie still calling out the billionaires, even though he's a millionaire.
No, it's kind of like Bernie showing up at the inauguration with those mittens that, unfortunately, the woman who made those was written out of business and lost her business because of the policies underneath the new administration. It's like that. If that's a thing that happened. If you're,
was it in Vermont? Because that would be even funnier.
I believe so. Yes, actually.
My God,
that's actually something from Styx. Things that happen in his town, in his area of Vermont, outright fucking crushed into the goddamn floor. I can report this because I've shown pictures from around my neighborhood, just literally in the shopping district where I go to get my groceries. I've shown those businesses that have been closed down, that have had their spaces either bought up or are still fucking empty to this day because of the fact that the Cove is the shit. Horrible. But it's the opposite of this. Is if you have all this money and you make all this content and you say, well, if I make content about my political views, that's enough. People should enjoy that. And if they give me money for that, well, that's fine. Yeah, that is fine.
If people give you a lot of money for it, it's fine.
It's fine if people give you money for it. But you cannot say, okay, that's my form of activism. My form of activism is I acted like an asshole on the internet.
Sitting on my ass.
Like that's
sitting
not
on my ass as an asshole on the internet and arguing about CP.
Like, not even just arguing about CP. Just, if your form of activism is, I promote communist views on the internet, and then...
while playing video games.
And then your views get promoted, and then your political aspirations are secured in the fact that you are able to elect a president that goes towards your side. And suddenly now you spend your time constantly trying to fake that you're bullying them on the platform because you don't like the fact that they're doing exactly what you voted for. Well, that's not good enough. And also, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's the difference.
Carl, I the best way I can... I find it so ironic. Chris Ray Gun started the decade screaming about Movie Bob and making fun of him, and now he's basically in lockstep agreeing with him by proxy of Vosh. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it.
I don't love to see it. And you know what I also don't love to see? People accusing me of being a rapist. Have you seen this particular post from this particular user? Because this tweet here that I have archived, they deleted, but we can go through it because it's beautiful. Just beautiful.
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting.
It was a very big take. Trying to find a way to get this lined up so it's on screen. There we go. I might have to open this a bit on the side. I like to try to crop it so that people can be able to see, but it's difficult and hard to get the fucking thing to behave. There we go. Alright. So, it is all men, because all men have done something at some time that has made a woman feel uncomfortable, whether it was intentional or not.
So he's projecting how many times he's made people uncomfortable. Wonderful.
Yes. Every single last one of you. And me. Some learn from it and move forward.
Set the clock, gentlemen. How long?
Some challenge others, but some are just fucking idiots. Big ups to the man in my mentions. Big ups to the men. What?
Whoa. Some of you all are just fucking idiots. Does that include you, Tim? I'm gonna guess that's specifically you.
Yes, that was the enemy part. Big ups to the man in my mentions telling me that this is the wrong take on behalf of women. I hope you're all ready to... I hope you're all ready to explain this to me as he asks. Leading into...
Don't worry, woman. I will speak for you. That old webcomic, only instead of being a person of color and a lesbian white lady, it is instead another man speaking for a woman. He's mansplaining.
This led into... I have very, very reluctantly had to delete that tweet as some of the men who had taken exception to it were starting to harass women who had replied to me. While the little fuckers can say what they want about me, I'm not allowing that. That's what we're up against. The yes
Tips,
all...
Fedora.
This tweet comes from Cat versus the World. The yes all men, even me dude, got dunked on so hard by both men and women, he's trying to lie his way to more praise. What a hero. This happens almost every single week now.
Yeah, it does.
But, the thing that I said, because I had a video about it, I'm not going to play it on the stream, because audios, but my reaction to this was verbatim when I saw it, literally drinking my fucking canister of water and saying, dude, you saying all men is not the take you fucking think it is, because what you just literally admitted to is that, number one, I've assaulted women. I've harassed women. And because I feel guilty about it, I'm now going to defend women. Which, reset the clock, see at the numbers, hey guys, we found another predator. Like, same old that we usually get, right?
Yep.
The fact that it happens on a weekly basis becomes the point where a lot of people should start being really, really worried, because the opposite of this, which is what happened tonight, namely because there is some fucking Twitch partner that made a thread about it, and I reacted to this thread before the stream went up, so if you go back through my mention pads, you can find it. But, the opposite of this is when women say men don't ever learn not to harass women, but then at the same time you have women that will give those slight subtle hints where it's like, come on, I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to seduce the guys. And then they say, oh, why wouldn't he case me? Why wasn't he acting like he was interested in me? I gave him all the signs. This is the opposite of that, where
in the words of Gundam, why didn't you fight for me more? Yeah. For Gundam's X, I guess.
Yeah, shit like that. Fucking wild and also insanity. Because number one,
they're a woman. What can you say?
Well, it's more than that, because
I
wish it was no. What you're saying is a meme. What you're saying is a meme, but unironically, number one, you are women in the current digital age. In a time period where all of these people are being crowded around, and this is actually something to speak to why the Red Pill community exists, although it has significant flaws, like several flaws. one of the problems, because this is the reason why Jordan Peterson even became a thing, one of the issues is that when you have an entire dating pool full of people who say, no, you should be supplanting yourself to my desires. Do what I want, because I said. When you have women who are outright hysterical, telling you that you're a monster, and are accusing you and thinking that you're going to assault them, and thus they're scared of being around you, and they'll never say it to your face, because they just assume. Because I've had this happen to myself several times. Where a person will basically say to me, well, I was scared because I didn't know what you'd do. And it's like, bitch, do you know I was a rape victim? Do you? Did you ask? Oh, no, you didn't? Well, let me tell you about life. It's the wildest shit. Because you're sitting here saying, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Bitch, I'm scared. I'm scared of you. Y'all motherfuckers will send me to jail if I even look at you fucking funny. It's a weird case of reverse Sharia, in a sense. Technically, it's the reason why people bring up Islam so goddamn much and make jokes about it. Because you are at a point where, really, you are saying that Islam is right. When you think like this. When you have men thinking like this and when you have women thinking like this. What is the argument against it? You have women being hysterical.
The American people are tired of women. Burn to be based there, though.
You have a situation where you have people on the internet openly saying, I do not feel safe around the opposite sex because I see so many examples of women outright getting guys put into jail because they don't like them and they decided they wanted to do something, so they do it. We had this happen to a child. We have this happen to multiple children. We've had this happen to men. We've had this happen to trans women. We've had this happen to trans men. We've had this happen to detransitioners. We've had this happen to normal men. We've had this happen to high-profile celebrities.
Terry Crews, my man. I love that man. God watch over him.
From Terry Crews to Donnie Depp to men like me, guys like you, to Johnny fucking what's-his-name out in the sticks somewhere in bumfuck America listening to this at this moment. Every single paradigm of man, from the man who has all the money, you know, somebody like Tyrese, who's had this happen to him, somebody like Neo, who's had this happen to him, somebody like Idris Elba, that's had this happen to him. High-profile examples and cases. All the way down to some dude who just happens to look cute, and so someone decided to fuck his life up. You have every single case example across the entire spectrum. But the only thing that people are being shown and heard and promoting is when women complain. When you get to that point, and all you ever see is the opposite, and nobody ever speaks on advocation of this, and we know this because if it wasn't that, you wouldn't have a need for people like myself, you wouldn't have a need for people like the Honey Badgers, you wouldn't have a need for it, because in my opinion, I think she's a grifter, but you wouldn't have a need and you wouldn't have a subversion of a person like Chloe Southern / Chloe Roma. You wouldn't have those people there for that to happen. We know that this is a problem.
It's almost like the Trump, Peterson, and many other situations in the world are not the problem. They're a symptom of the problem, and these are things that came out as a result of people looking for a solution for said problem. It's almost like the old Simpsons clip of "Am I so out of touch?" No, it's the children who are wrong. Is saying that maybe you are out of touch. Maybe there's something you're doing wrong. Or in the case of, I think Charles Kahn, who said this recently, when someone was mentioning the word gaslighting, like, we didn't use the word gaslighting. What do you mean? Turning it right back around on her. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, sorry. I mean, that was a bit of a aside.
No, it was good.
I try. What else on the list tonight, Carl? We got it. What else is up? I mean, I don't know if you guys were done with this subject or. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was confused. I'm just hearing yelling happening in the background. I'm trying to ignore it, but
yeah. Then what's next on the docket? Do we have anything more?
Yes, several things actually. I'm trying to burn through them as quickly as I can.
Let's burn through it then, shall we? Lightning round. Because it's almost midnight here.
Yes. Right here. This is a fucking thread. Have you ever heard of this account called Most? That is a Black Trans Lives Matter promotion account that is used by Netflix to try and talk about things? Because this is a fucking thread, dude. This is a fucking threat. This is a threat.
God, this sounds like that Babysitter's Club writer already. As I'm looking at it,
Let me see if the thread itself is still up, because if it's there, I can just read it verbatim to you. I made sure to archive it ahead of time so that in case it was deleted, I'd have it. But
yeah,
you have to see the pictures.
This is giving me serious vibes.
The thread's been deleted. How's about that? There was pictures that went along with this, but I'll just read it verbatim as we have it here. Sometimes an inanimate object in a movie can be so powerful, so important, and so striking that you know the object is a lesbian. I'm pausing for effect.
So,
like the pizza in Mystic Pizza, all pizza served by Julia Roberts is lesbian pizza. This is an absolutely urgent thread on lesbian objects in film.
you know, Carl, can I just interject?
Yes.
And here, I thought people were saying that men objectify women, but calling lesbian objects, I thought they were human beings. Thank you very much. Sorry, random riff. I'm sorry. Continue.
Some objects are aesthetically queer. Some are inherently queer. Some are worn on the nimble hands of a queer woman. In Carol, the leather glove Carol leaves with threes is a wear 3 out of 3. This glove is a lesbian.
So we're literally going into this selected thing and is X accounts again, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, oh god, here we go. I'm sorry. These riffs come to me immediately, and I just off tongue.
There's a bunch of it just keeps going. I wish the pictures were here. I wish the pictures were here.
This glove is lesbian. This lipstick is lesbian rights. The bee in Minecraft is super straight.
This cinnamon lip gloss from the roommate is allegedly caffeinated. It also leads Lacey Meester to kiss Danielle Ackles. Thank you, lesbian lip gloss.
Most is horny on Maine. What can we say?
The leather jacket from the girl with the dragon tattoo. Lisbeth fixes it and attempts to gift it to Mikhail, but throws it in the trash when she sees him with another woman. Underappreciated leather jacket gifting is lesbian culture.
But she was going to give it to a guy.
Is it lesbian culture to have a high domestic violence ratio compared to all other couples, including
so is
couples?
carpet chewing. I'm referring to the characters in the classic Cartoon Network show Cow and Chicken, who literally chewed carpets. What do you think I'm talking about, Carl?
I actually forgot that was a joke that show had.
It was from a band episode, yes.
Mm-hmm. In Crazy Stupid Love, Julianne Moore wears a loose scarf. While women's scarves are typically canonically straight, a scarf that is casually and delicately draped around or near Julianne Moore's neck is a lesbian. Open end quote.
Wait.
This is science.
This is science? So what you're saying, Carl, what she's saying, what Most is saying, is that Tom Baker is in fact a lesbian.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So is Nolan North. And any man who's ever worn a scarf. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is a lesbian. He's a lesbian object.
Carl, I have my Doctor Who scarf in my closet right now. I guess I'm a lesbian.
I mean, shit, I got like several scarves in my closet. I think I got. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's in my. Carl, my scarf needs to come out of the closet, I guess.
I mean, I could let my scarves out of the closet, but it makes me really sweaty.
Fuck, dude, my grandma made me my 12-foot scarf, and I cherish that damn thing.
Based.
Yeah, God, I love it. I love my grandmother, too. She's awesome. She also, funny story, random funny Charza story. The maternal grandmother of the Kitsune clan. When I was a kid, my sister fucking loved Little Mermaid, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was always in the vicinity at a young age. And then I met my grandmother, and she had a beehive hairdo, and she was a little heavier set. and to this day, I can never disassociate Ursula the Sea Witch with my dear grandmother bee. And it's the funniest thing, and it's also a tragic thing. So I love my grandma bee, but it's funny because I can never disassociate it.
I have the same thing.
She doesn't even look like her that much.
I have the same thing, but unfortunately sexually, and it's for
Oral
that one
fixation brought to the lips of. Oh my god! Most is horny on main. Most it should be moist.
I think that was what it's supposed to be called. I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, the account name
Because
itself is weird.
literacy is cool. I've always wanted to use that.
But yeah, the vape from I Care a Lot. The new film with Rosamund Pike, who's now famous for making the character of Amy from Gone Girl a thing. She's really in a lot of those kinds of films. I wish you would not do it on purpose.
Big gay vibe. Oh my god, this is so this Twitter account is a lesbian object. I'm gonna argue.
Yes, I think they would. Many more.
The tweet thread about lesbian objects is a lesbian object.
Many more Spangs and Headband from A Walk to Remember are a vibe. A big gay vibe. To be clear, bangs are not an object, but bangs pouring out of a headband is considered a lesbian object.
Okay, I'm gonna call some horse shit here. That movie is about a girl dying of fucking cancer, and a guy, not a girl, a guy taking her through her bucket list. I'm trying to process this because I take that a little bit to offense. Not because I like the film, though it does give me tears just thinking about it, but I will note that when you have someone in your life who's dying of cancer and you would have loved to do that kind of thing, and then they say, oh yeah, I mean, the person's by in my life, but still it's stop. Anyway.
No, these ones, their pictures were able to load on them, so that's great. I don't know why the other ones didn't load, but from now, I'm gonna try to take y'all through a lightning round of these. These are great. Many people don't know this, but the Pinch from Ocean's 11 is a lesbian. The Pinch is a silent, stealthy, sly bitch that, when activated, cuts the electricity in all of Las Vegas for 30 seconds. Her power, her mind.
Is she fat? If she's not fat and like blames everything on men, I don't know. I don't think I would consider that an actual lesbian.
Well, I think this looks like a big hefty object, a big hunk of metal. From Easy A, the I got a pocket. I got a pocket full of sunshine.
It's not covered in hair. It's not covered in pubic hair though.
The I got a pocket full of sunshine card. First off, the song itself is I got a pocket full of sunshine. That's just how she fucking read the line. But the I got a pocket full of sunshine card, I can't and won't explain it, but this card is a lesbian. Why is the card a lesbian?
Because it's being pulled out from both sides for that lady to put her mouth into.
Sure. The hot spring and the half of it. This is a natural pool that it literally incubates lesbian yearning. A cauldron of queer feelings. And it's found in nature. This hot spring is gay.
Do you know what also probably brings to these women in the spring? A urinary tract infection. So yeah, I guess she's right about that. Because that's kind of, not gonna lie, that's kind of gay. God, I am an edgy boy tonight.
The diamond-studded Furby chain in Uncut Gems has officially been claimed by the lesbian community. Sorry, but if you had a Furby, you're bisexual.
False, ma'am. False. Because you said we're lesbians. And if I was bi, that means I'd be into guys, right? So wait. I'm so confused. Well, actually, that would make me part of the queue, right?
Yes. That would make
Hello, Picard.
That would
my wonderful friend. Snaps fingers. I just spiked your coffee, Picard. What are you gonna do about it?
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't resist pun.
The navy blue blindfold in Bird Box recently came out as a lesbian at the Glad Wars. Happy for her. She's really doing the work.
Citation needed. Citation needed.
Now, this one right here was the one that I showed to Jay, because I gave this thread to Jay so she could read it for cringe, because I knew this would be right up her fucking alley. Because when I saw this one, because it's our favorite white woman who stars in shows that are full of cringe. You know, the one from Get Out, the one that was in Girls with everyone's favorite sister fucker, the lesbian one, not the male one.
Oh,
that actress.
And they say rape. They say women can't rape though.
But her and the lead black actress that took over from the role for Dear White People, they are both in this one film that is basically about lesbian violinists. That's the best way that I can describe it to you. Lesbian revenge violinist porn. But the sexual chemistry between these dueling cellos and the perfection. I don't know a better lesbian couple. This one is the one where I'm like, okay, you can have that one, because that's what that film is. That is literally all that film is. It's a weird revenge.
Wait, about
what?
Revenge porn? I thought you said I thought women can't. Broke me, Carl. You broke me.
How did I break you?
You made me trip over my jokes.
Success. I'll take it as success. But unironically, The Perfection is a film that I can only describe as intentionally cringe lesbian revenge porn, where the entire point is that it's supposed to feel like a girl boss film. Because it's a whole thing, not to spoil the ending of it, but there's a bunch of fucking twists in it. The reveal that happens at the end is hilariously funny, and it's really great, but at the same time, you have to remember that it is a product of what it's a product of, right?
Lesbians.
Like, well, yes, but it's like the woke, it's the woke kind of humor, you know? Like, it's like watching a film that was not made by Jordan Peele, but feels like it was made by Jordan Peele. You know what I'm saying?
No, all I can think of is this sounds like a femdom porn.
No, you remember Get Out, right? This is like Get Out. It's a film that feels like Jordan Peele was involved in the production of it, but didn't touch it. It feels like yeah, it feels like possible? A copy of a film that he would have made if he wanted to play with this concept, but he had nothing to do with it. It just has the same, like, diegetic DNA of a film.
I think someone watched Get Out too many times while in the middle of a lesbian orgy, and they're probably like, hold on. Wait, that was probably a double entendre they didn't even know about. Okay, I gotta stop with these.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay for a watch. This is the only film on this list that I will say is okay for a watch that you should watch just for the fun of how this is placed. But the next one's not really even better. The candles from Disobedience are canonically lesbian. Shame concentrating on an object, the candles, instead of gazing at the person you truly yearn for. That's lesbianism, baby.
Canonically gay. Citation needed, please.
Next one. Cheyenne Woodley's boat in adrift is a tough bitch who can weather any storm. If that ship isn't a persevering lesbian, truly what is? When I think of the word lesbian next to a word like persevering, all I can think of is a hefty woman. Like a hefty woman.
That or a very, very, very vindictive political lesbian. By that I mean a lesbian who hates men so much they'd rather be a lesbian even if they don't like women.
Can you hear my brother fucking going Super Saiyan in the background?
Yes, I did. And here I thought that one guy was the only one who thought Super Saiyans were real.
When you remember when I bully Poe, you know when I bully Poe and I tell Poe that he is unironically an emotional Vegeta? There's the money. There's the guy that there's the guy.
The funny, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. All I can think, I never heard you refer to him that way. And I laugh because I realize how accurate it is for Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it's such a spot on argument.
It's why I said it. My brother is the originator. Poe is probably the smaller, young, perfected version of it. Because I think that's the.
But he's small, and that's Vegeta in a nutshell, or in one word, is small.
Well, what do you think my brother is? I'm taller than him.
Oh, there you go. See,
I'm actually the tallest person in my family.
You know what I want to do to Poe someday? I want to go behind Poe and say I like your cut, G, and smack him in the back of the head.
Me too. But I'm gonna do it hard as shit and double slap him in the Tatum.
That or throw cheese on him when he's not least expecting it, and do it over a long period of time and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. But next one.
That'd be amazing. Sorry.
You already know that dueling instruments are gay, but what about complementary instruments? Here we have Aaliyah Shawkat's bass and Kristen Stewart's guitar from The Runaways, an infamous and beloved lesbian couple.
Midway through you saying that, all I could think of was Pink Guy saying, I don't know, that sounds kind of gay to me.
And then his last one. And finally, the code in the Da Vinci Code. While solving riddles and doing math are both canonically heterosexual, cracking a code is an inherently lesbian pastime. Click, click, bitch!
And they say gaydar isn't real.
I remember when gaydar used to just be a joke on the L word. And then Jay and I looked at the first episode of Generation Queer, and I wanted to die twice. I probably just to torture myself.
But you can only... I guess you can die twice, but you can only live once.
Yeah. I mean, I die every time I have to watch cringe like this, but shit like this just makes me go like, you know, maybe I should just abuse myself for content. Maybe that'll be funny for people to watch. But at the same time, it kind of fucking scares me because this is what official accounts tweet about, right? Imagine what normal StanCam users are tweeting about. I'm terrified. I'm fucking terrified.
Well, Carl, there was that one time when I got one Stan account to unironically let slip that her mother was planning terroristic threats in Northern Africa where they came from.
Yeah.
This moment, once I did a double take, I was like, wait, what? Who did I report this to? Who can? Oh, Carl, did remember, okay, do we cover the GTA ban in Chicago?
I don't think we did, no.
Okay. I'm not going to explain that. I think people know about it. Well, I think this was on the break, like not this week, last week, or somewhere around that range. So I'm driving. I thought it was ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, kids are jacking cars. Okay, well, I don't think it's involved with GTA. Well, I'm going through this area by the pub I drive through to get to work, and this car pulls in front of me, and it seems to be going almost recklessly. And when I turn onto the street with them, I see like that their heads are lower than the headrests, and I'm like, it must be an elderly couple because they always ride low. Well, then I get in front of them and look at my rearview mirror. Carl, I shit you not, it was two kids, like 14 or something, at the oldest, probably 12, because one of them had the brightest blonde hair that I had at that age, and the other one had a mustache like he was like fucking Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, but he was wearing one of those Velcro hoods. Mm-hmm. You know, like when you get like one of those winter coats for school, and he had the Velcro at the very like. Mm-hmm. He was like probably the Latin persuasion, but he was the same height as the other kid, and he was wearing that on like he was like a dork. And I'm just like, did these two kids just jack a car? What the fuck? And like sorry, it was one of those moments where I'm like, did I just see that? I'm sorry. Random thought. Anyway, next thing.
Not all that strange. I see a bunch of target things happening down here where I live. Not necessarily in my neighborhood, but in my town, all the fucking time. You see a lot
Yeah,
more of them
just-
happen in places like California, in places like Oakland and Van Nuys, and most definitely in places like Chicago. It's just,
but yeah,
usually it's people who are like teenagers at that age. I think that's the first time I've ever heard of like a very, really, really young kid, and they're not like a street soldier or a D-boy.
oh, they look like they had just got out of school, and they're like, "What should we do for fun?" I know, let's go jack a car. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Now,
like
this
literally, and it was a. What is this?
This is a thread, actually, about activists going after the the Journal of American Medical Association, because they're upset about the fact that the Journal of American Medical Association was talking about things that they wanted to try and recorrect people on, which was them basically being caught with their pants down and them not liking it. And because you needing to understand what it's really about, an apology is not enough. They want to have a change in who sets the narrative and the agenda of what the journal talks about. Here's a tweet that set it all off with the link to the 60-minute podcast, which is, "No physician is racist, so how can there be a structural racism in healthcare?" An explanation of the idea by Doctors for Doctors, using this user-friendly podcast from the great Dr. Katz of NYC, HH, and the Journal of AMA. Structural racism for doctors.
Wait.
What is it? And then the apology that was written by the journal itself. And then the people who were responding to it. Where is the comprehensive plan towards anti-racism at the journal? And then more responses. Literally sick to my stomach. I didn't listen because honestly I didn't want to be traumatized by the content. Will one of the most prestigious journals in the world fall to the wokes? And then a petition for them to be censored and removed for this. And then the journal podcast on structural racism and the backlash that was written about it in Forms Magazine. The update that is then given. That the JAMA, I'm going to call it for short, editor-in-chief issuing an apology and then resigning. That there's an investigation for the crime of not being racist doctors. The podcast and the associated tweet were removed and replaced with a message describing the hurt that the content caused, and that the new EIC, the editor-in-chief, will be an expert in racism and structural racism in healthcare. And then a link to that, and then people wanting to hear the deleted podcast on the archive, and then another tweet update linked to the change position about the community demands being asked for the petition itself to stop perpetuating racism in medicine. And then a link to the change.org link listing out this series of demands. Having a formal review of the leadership displayed by Dr. Howard Bachner as editor-in-chief, including actions suggesting a failure to diversify the editorial staff and or displaying blatantly discriminatory behavior patterns. Keep in mind, this is them getting mad that doctors said, listen, we try not to discriminate against our patients. That's fucking ridiculous. That's what this is about. So they're coming for the medicine now. They're coming for the institutions of people who give you your fucking healthcare, guys. Are you happy? Number 2, restructure the editorial staff as follows. Hire a deputy editor with a dedicated focus on anti-racism and health equity. And establish a transparent evaluation of the current editorial processes to ensure a balanced, fair, and equitable approach to all content, and in particular, that relating to race and racism. Scheduling a series of town hall conversations with Black, Indigenous, and people of color patients, healthcare staff, and allies to ensure restorative justice as representatives of JAMA.
Two things that come to mind about this, Carl. First off, when I heard the name Dr. Katz, it was then followed with the phrase professional therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, remember when people said, the slippery slope was a fallacy? Remember when people were able to claim that in good faith and use it against, people who are saying, well, if we give, marriage rights to lesbians, nothing will happen, or things will happen, there's all these things people would say the slippery slope argument is a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it though? Is it? Because I think we have a quite established set of circumstances that seem to when you give more water to that, when you establish a trend of throwing chum out into the water, the sharks usually come over there and they just want to be fed.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of sharks, the last one that I'd like to end on, now that we can talk about it. So, I'm in a series of Discords, and I just remain silent in them. They're Discords that are owned by some of our mutuals that you know of. You know, people like people like Poe, people like Amy, a couple of users whose names I won't say, people who are in mine, just people mutually hanging out in Discords and just listening to the conversations in them. I don't think people spy in them necessarily, but lo and behold, our favorite fucking lolcow, not Vito, the other one, Smug Rocco.
The female equivalent of Vito, yes.
The female equivalent. Some of you know her name. I've been sworn to secrecy by Aki to not say their real name. Well, I've kind of known what the name was, but I've kind of forgot when they gave it to me. I could tell you about it later. But Smug Rocco is in the server of one of my mutuals. And it just so happened to be that at the time, because this was the other night when I said that I wanted to delay on Friday to Saturday, and then eventually we pushed it back to here.
Yeah.
During that, the servers for Project Diablo 2 are not doing so hot because, again, 10,000 people, 5,000 servers. So it was spotty, and I decided to wait for the connection to try and become a little bit better before I tried to go live streaming it again. And I was looking at Dark Elves because the person who owns this server has a nice selection of porn, especially
dark Choco Elf, best elf.
Yes, they have the best Dark Elf porn. They also have some 3D and they got some 2D in there, maybe some hentai, anything to suit the flavors for the flavor. But I was there looking at Dark Elf girls, and I saw that I was tagged in a conversation by somebody, and lo and behold, Lauren is in a group of people who apparently consider her a mutual on this server because it's full of actual internet autists, right? Like full on betards, which is normal. That's not the problem here. The problem, and I say problem with a smile on my face because it's not that it's a problem for me, it's a problem for Lauren.
No, she's gonna get milked again, in other words.
The problem for Lauren is that she decided to scream the N word multiple times. But more importantly than that, than, you know, further ruining her potential for career, she decided to lie multiple times to a group of people. Namely, up on screen, I'll read it out to you. 2 years ago, both him and Charza refused to let go. Imagine being so terminally online that you allow a random e-girl's fuckery to ruin your psyche that badly. It was from December.
It was 2 years ago?
Yes, it's actually been 2 years.
God damn.
Time flies, man. Time flies. It was from December. If you search his username in PayPal, you'll find it. This is the lie that they're about to set up. Carl is an unhinged hard R who simps, I can say the word, I'm just choosing not to, who simps for a negress. That one I can say. Who faked her own death twice in a row. He, the person in question, which is the artist who I actually paid, Aki, take it back if you're still here. He created rape art of Escape Zero with Aki, called Aki a sore fucking loser. That never happened. He paid $200 for it. That didn't happen either. I didn't pay $200. I paid him $90. I paid him up front, actually. I paid him extra than what he had originally sponsored for me.
I like how Aki confirmed that. Aki confirmed that. Good for you.
Oh, I tagged him in this because I wanted to make sure that he was aware of this. But I don't know who the Plot 10 person is, and I told him to their face I don't know who the fuck they are. I don't know who any of these people are except for Lauren, because I don't talk in this server. But it continues.
You know, Carl, can I interject for a sec? The person that she claims you simped for, isn't that funny that one of the leaks that ended up on the farms was not in fact Laura's boobs, but in fact that same person that she was bashing in this thread? I just find that rather amusing that that's what the farms were able to demise, that what little video evidence was actually not in fact Laura's tatas, but instead someone else's. and she got all upset about that. I just wanted to point that out.
That too, and the fact that the person who gave them that information, though they chose to sit on it and then pretend that it wasn't given to them by me, was me telling them shit like this. But the more important reason that I want to cover this is that I want to make sure it's here, physically in front of you, and that you can see it with your own eyes. This is how Lauren actually behaves.
I'm not gonna lie, she's bitter, and I mean,
oh, she is fucking outraged. She is goddamn upset.
It's funny because the only person she has to blame is herself, and that's why she's saying all this bullshit. Because at the end of the day, the only reason she's basically been laughed off Twitter permanently is not our fault. So we did that. We faked suicide and got her boyfriend at the time really freaking freaked out because he had no way of contacting her. That was us. Last I checked, that was her. And I was literally sitting there not knowing what the fuck I could do to help in the situation.
Mm-hmm. Or blaming me.
Yeah.
Or blaming me, the individual who told her, hey, maybe just tell the truth. Even if you have to show that your identity is what your face is, if you have to show your face, that's unnecessary because you're being accused of being a Jewish black male who looks like a bizarre version of me. Good old Alex Segal. That person. Remember when you were being accused of that? And you're screaming, what do I do? What do I do? And I told you, listen, just tell the fucking truth. And you said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And you nearly caused the person to commit suicide? Something that was only talked down. Something that only happened after I talked the person down from it and lost the job in the process. After having to call up to the guy that you were planning to run away with to go live with him in the home with his disabled wife, that he still hasn't told her that he was having an emotional affair with a 20-something-year-old woman. That was you.
The whole thing went down with her, and her boyfriend was just sitting there like, what the heck's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest. I feel the worst part about all this that I felt was not for Lore. It was mainly about me enabling her to treat. Not anything she did. It was more me just enabling him to be basically thrown out the ringer because he was basically abused by her emotionally, nonstop.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And by me assuming the best intentions for her, I enabled that. That's why that's why I'm pissed at you. It's nothing. It's me. I'm not pissed at you, actually. I'm more pissed about the fact that I enabled your rampage in a certain regard. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. I actually feel relieved when I see her this angry about all this because that's all she can do. What else can she do? I mean, Ian's not going to help her out. I mean, that would be fucking suicide. At least, Carl, there's a silver lining here. Did you see what happened when I did with Kung Fu Man? Oh, yeah, you did, Of course.
Yes, we have a whole thing on.
I got him to admit that what he did was shit. And to be fair, that's all I really wanted. I mean, I knew Lord didn't actually. Even if I were anything for her, it would be absolutely fucking worthless. But at least I got him to admit it. Because
it's a win in some form.
I know she's a fucking psychopath. Oh yeah, because he's a fucking loco. He did what he was doing to me and me holding him to that fire. That was shit I learned watching him squirm on that thread. But you know, I just find it funny that the only place where Laura can crawl around and feel like she has some control is literally fucking Discord in these backwaters. It's because if she comes out and tries anything, there's gonna be she could try and disguise herself and try and start a new life. But I think it'll go as well as when she ripped off Niche Gamer. She doesn't have any ideas on her own. I mean, one of the things.
Well, we have to go all the way back. It's not just rip off Niche Gamer. Have me and take my opinions and my ideas and put them forward as her own. Rip off Niche Gamer. Rip off a known Toku account, Toku Time. Try to come back as an e-girl, as a VTuber, and that call completely through.
As it should. I mean, let's be real here. She is in a worse state right now than old Boulder. she's in a worse state than fucking Boulder Boy. Like, he at least has a bit of a cult of personality. What does Lore have? All she has is B-tard shitlords in Discord who would literally turn on her for a nickel. It's for me personally, it's kind of it's more affirmation that I'm happy I did that I walked away from that. Because she came up to me like, oh, they're spreading around my porn like I have fucking pepperoni nipples, and I'm like, you're acting like nothing has happened. Get the fuck out of my life. And again, the ironic thing is they weren't even her nipples. That's the even funnier part. It's like she wasn't even truthful about that, and it's amazing. You love to see it. You love to see it.
The important
I moved on. It's fun.
The important piece of information to extract from this being revealed is actually 4 things. Specifically, number 1 and number 2. Direct your attention to the screen. He'll lie as much as he has to cover his ass. Number 2. This is 2 years overdue, you hard R Carl. And number 3, which is back at the top, but I'm not going to go back through it because it's not necessary. Number 3, she is looking at my PayPal account and trying to track what money I've exchanged with users. Which means she's looking at the period of time in which I was giving money to artists that I had commissioned my work from. Not just Aki, but other people as well. And is accusing me of giving Aki money specifically because she's mad about the character she explicitly says she's not mad about. And more importantly, the amount and usage of the freedom that she has to sling around the hard R. The slinging around the hard R after everybody saw the Negroid, that's not, it's not about the amounts of what she's using or that she's saying it. It's that she is so upset that she is talking about me and assumed that no one was aware that I was even there. Just randomly.
Yeah.
For no reason. I was not in that situation spying the situation out. I was literally told. Someone literally pinged me and showed me that I was there. They even announced it here in this particular screenshot here from this user named Aline. And yes, they did see this conversation because I posted it there for a reason because I wanted to see what they would say. And they indeed tried to have a laugh about this as though this was pathetic to show. But the thing that needs to be important here is that this is Smug Roko. This is what Smug Roko, and this is who she is. This is what she's always been. Anything else, that does smell like something is burning in my house. I have to go check that. But is what she's always. Yes, this is what Lauren has always been. This is what Smug Roko has always been. She's never been anything but this. This is her real face. What everybody saw beforehand, that was her pretending and hiding behind people's intelligence like mine. And using the bravado that comes with having bot numbers and bot accounts to bolster herself. Without that, she is literally just a B-tard gremlin. Now, she can have the freedom to be whatever she wants to be, but she has to be that the fuck away from the rest of us. I'm going to roast her every single time it comes up, the same way I roast Vito. It's what I'm going to do. It's what's going to happen. Because it's important that you recognize this is an actual grifter. There were people who she was responsible for. There were people who she needed to pay as a business owner and as a professional that she did not pay. She did not have loyalty for her friends. She did not have any sense or business acumen. None of that existed.
Did she have any loyalty at all? That's
loyalty to the money. Loyalty to use the money that's supposed to be used to pay her fucking employees to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That's what she has loyalty to. Maybe loyalty to Helmet, because I think they're still together. Because he unfortunately did choose to block me because, he's committing himself there, which that's his way to live. And I wish they both have a very happy life. I really do.
Let me put you this. I still follow him. He never brings anything up. So I always thought I hope he eventually grows balls and gets rid of her because, like I said, that's why I left. Because I didn't like this being enabled. He's a good guy, and I.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I can't enable it, and nobody else should either. But this is what it is. Come say, come saw, come on my toes, the entire shebang. Hopefully, nobody else will fall into something like this. Because if nobody had enabled her in the first place, if nobody looked at her as being some kind of figurehead equivalent to that of Ian Miles Chungus himself, then we wouldn't have this problem. Because I looked back at when I was having money issues and I was like, maybe I could write some articles for his fucking website. And something said, no. No. Don't do that, Carl. No. You don't have to do that. Because it was shit like this that I expected to see happen. I hoped that it wouldn't happen, but it did. She was given time and opportunity and chances. She didn't learn. She still hasn't learned. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. And the best you have for me coming is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 users, including yourself, lying about things that you know people know publicly is false? I'm not the person who has a video made about them. And even if they did, what would you come up with? It's a black guy that lives in the South that talks about his culture hobbies, and I think he's cringe. Congratulations.
Right. Oh, wow.
That's all you have. And if this is all you can be, well, let that just be a lesson, kids. All right, we're going off air, guys. I need to go check what the fucking smell in my house is. Gotta hope nothing's burned down. I will see y'all next time. Same bat time, same Carl channel. So say goodnight, Charza.
Well, good night, Charza. I love that. I love that. That's gonna be a regular thing.
I also love it. It's fun for me. I hope it's fun for everybody else. But I'll see y'all soon. I'll see y'all in the future. Hello, goodbye. Okay? Bye, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.